Will you be my girlfriend with the intention of marrying me? That's what everyone I met through a friend wanted to know. One guy, who was 3 years younger than me, said he fell for me right away. I thought about my age and wanting to settle down, so I said yes. A year later, we tied the knot. I'm Michelle, 34 years old, working for a big company. Living overseas has always been my dream. My husband, Paul, is younger than me, but he's a natural leader and takes charge in our relationship. He's the one who leads our household, and I'm okay with that. I've been used to living alone for a while, so I don't mind doing the chores and cooking. Paul doesn't pitch in much, but I don't find it bothersome. When we're out together, Paul always takes the lead, which lets me relax and have fun without any worries. It feels like a nice balance between us. However, everything changed when my mother passed away while I was working. I got a call from my dad, telling me that my mom's illness had gotten worse and she collapsed. I rushed to the hospital, about 2 hours away, to say my final goodbye. I stayed with my dad to help arrange the funeral. When I called Paul, he said he couldn't leave work on short notice. He didn't come to the wake, and although he made it to the funeral, he wasn't dressed appropriately. I had to quickly arrange a suit for him to rent. He complained a lot, saying I should have sorted everything out beforehand. With all the grief and business, I couldn't deal with Paul's complaints, so I brushed them off. But he didn't seem to appreciate that, and he was in a bad mood the whole time. Since then, it seems like our arguments as a couple have been on the rise. It's normal to have some disagreements after being married for 3 years, but lately, Paul's been picking fights more aggressively. His controlling behavior has been overwhelming, often telling me what to do and taking charge. I grew tired of it and tried standing up to him a few times, but since he didn't know how things were managed around the house, even simple tasks like preparing for his business trips became lengthy affairs. Plus, he'd complain while trying to help, only making more of a mess. Eventually, I realized it was easier if I just handled things myself. It wasn't about blindly obeying him. I took charge of certain tasks to save myself the hassle. I'm going to start preparing for us to join the gathering for my mom's first death anniversary next week, I informed Paul. He responded grumpily, "Okay, but I have an important meeting that day. What should I do?" I've mentioned this gathering well in advance. I was taken aback by his sudden remark. "What? You're not going?" Paul sighed heavily. "It's not that, but it'll be tough to delegate everything to my juniors. He seemed pleased with his recent promotion and often talked about his junior team members. I felt like sighing in return. "Please plan for it, okay?" I emphasized. The day before the gathering, when I got home from work, Paul was sulking and drinking beer in the living room. "I'm sorry I'm late. I had to work overtime." I apologized. I could tell he was upset because I was late and dinner was delayed. "I've been waiting here for an hour just as I thought," he grumbled. "But it's just 1 hour, isn't it?" I reasoned. If he couldn't prepare dinner, he could have gone out to buy something. I had informed him of my late arrival time. He could have taken some initiative and handled things on his own. Suppressing the urge to speak my mind, I handed him a takeout box. I thought it'd take too long if I cooked, so I picked this up on my way home instead, I explained. In response, Paul slammed a glass of beer onto the table. "Takeout again? Aren't you slacking off a bit too much lately?" The last time I brought home takeout was about 2 weeks ago. True, I've been busy lately and maybe I haven't been cooking elaborate meals every day. But I always make sure we have a balanced diet and rarely rely on prepackaged items. Still, I didn't think I deserved that kind of criticism. As I debated whether to respond, Paul, misunderstanding something, decided to add insult to injury. "Can't say anything because it's true, huh? Do your chores properly. You've been coming home late lately, claiming you're working overtime. You're probably just out having an affair," Paul shouted. His words ignited a wave of anger that had been simmering inside me. Enough was enough. If you know I'm working late, the least you can do is prepare dinner for us. It's okay if you can't cook. Getting takeout isn't too difficult, is it? I always let you know when I'll be late. And despite being busy, I handle all our household chores. "There's no need for that kind of attitude," I asserted. Paul shot me a glare. "You know what? You're 3 years older than me. I could have married someone in their 20s, but I chose you, an older woman. Show some appreciation and do as I say. No one else would want you, so you'd be in trouble if I left, wouldn't you? Did he really just say that? I was furious and couldn't hold back any longer. Then maybe you should have married a younger woman when we started dating before we got married. I asked if you were okay with me being older, and you said yes. That's why we got married. Even without you, I could manage my life. I retorted. Paul scoffed at my words. Whatever, let's get a divorce. With that, he grabbed his beer and the takeout box and stormed off to his room. We had arguments before, but this was a first. I was done with him. I decided to eat my takeout dinner to calm my nerves, assuming Paul was probably just irritated because he was hungry. But even as I filled my stomach, I couldn't shake off the disbelief that this was all happening the day before my mother's first death anniversary. After a while, I called out to Paul from outside his room, "We need to leave by 8 a.m. tomorrow, so I'll wake you up around 7. There was no response, but I sensed he was awake. With those words said, I went to bed, feeling unsettled. The next morning, when I woke up early, Paul was already gone. The bags I had packed were still in the room, indicating he hadn't left for the gathering without me. Where had he disappeared to? I called his cell, but got no answer. My texts went unanswered too. Left with no other option, I left a voicemail and began getting ready to head out alone. I managed to reach Paul while waiting at the train station. I have to go to my meeting. I can't leave it to my juniors, after all, was all he said before the call abruptly ended. Overwhelmed by a mix of anger and resignation, I found myself in a state of stunned confusion. Before I could process it further, the train arrived, carrying luggage for two, but I boarded alone. When I arrived at my father's house, he anxiously inquired, "Where's Paul?" Seeing my father's sadness since my mother's passing, I didn't want to add to his worries. Taking a deep breath, I forced a smile and replied, "Sorry, he got called into an important meeting. He was supposed to come here, but he recently got a promotion, and it sounded urgent, so I suggested he prioritize that." My father nodded understandingly. "I see. He's working hard. It's a shame I couldn't see him, but your mother would understand. Let him know he's always welcome to visit." Though his words stung a bit, I kept up the smile throughout the day. With no word from Paul, the night passed without any contact from either of us. Planning to stay overnight and return home the next day as originally intended, I felt a bit childish for not reaching out to him. Maybe I'd cook his favorite dish, hamburgers, tomorrow to make amends. With that thought, I went to bed. The next day, after leaving my father's house and arriving home around noon, I decided to drop off my bags before heading to the grocery store. As expected, dirty laundry was strewn around the living room, a sign that Paul still hadn't grasped how to use the washing machine. Sighing, I gathered the laundry and tossed it into the washer along with my own. Taking a break and returning to the living room, something on the table caught my eye. As I got closer, disbelief washed over me. There, sitting on the table, were divorce papers, already signed by Paul. Why? I stared at the papers, bewildered. Was this his way of asking for a divorce? Pulling out my cell phone from my bag, I realized it should be Paul's lunch break. I wasn't sure if Paul would answer, but to my surprise, he picked up on the first ring. "Paul, what's the deal with these divorce papers?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. On the other end, Paul laughed. "What do you mean?" "It's pretty straightforward. I don't want an older wife who won't do her share of household chores. That's why I've decided on a divorce. If we split, I can find someone younger and more appealing. After all, a wife is like a status symbol, isn't she? It's hard to boast about you being older when my colleagues ask. Dodging the topic isn't exactly simple." I was speechless, utterly lost for words. If you don't want a divorce, then start pulling your weight around the house. I'll be home as usual today, so make sure to grab some beer, all right? But if you're set on this, take the divorce papers to the family court. "The ball's in your court," he said before hanging up abruptly. The call left me stunned, unable to utter a single word. It seemed Paul believed his ultimatum would force me to comply. All this time, I'd done the chores not out of fear of him leaving, but because I disliked having to ask him. He likely assumed otherwise, presuming my compliance stemmed from a fear of abandonment, given his dominant nature. Being married to a younger man might draw envy from others, but in reality, there's nothing particularly remarkable about it. I often found myself emphasizing his age, but truth be told, he's quite average in appearance, personality, and income. Describing him as younger was simply convenient. Initially, the age gap concerned me, but now that we're both in our 30s with only a 3-year difference, it feels insignificant. Had the gap been wider, perhaps I feel differently, but constantly being labeled as the older wife when we're essentially peers feels disheartening. I grabbed my bag and made a beeline for the family court. As I handed in the divorce papers, a wave of relief washed over me. Despite thinking we were doing okay, it's clear things are over now. But I can manage without Paul. With that realization, a weight lifted off my shoulders, prompting me to reach out to my boss and request a few days of paid leave. Luckily, work had just eased up, so he granted me about a week off. Now that I'm divorced, it's time to sort out my belongings. Thankfully, I didn't have much to begin with, so tidying up was a breeze. I stashed the larger items in a storage unit, packed my essentials and clothes into the car, and on a whim, decided to head to a hot spring resort. It seemed like the off-season for hotels, so I managed to snag a cheap room on the spot. The thrill of the drive filled me with excitement. As I soaked in the hot springs and lounged in my room, my phone suddenly rang. "Michelle, I asked you to pick up beer, didn't I? Where are you?" I couldn't help but chuckle, recalling Paul's usual routine. "I'm actually at a hot spring resort right now," I replied. "What? A hot spring resort? Why?" Paul's confusion was evident in his voice. "Well, you did say to file the divorce papers if I disagreed with you," I reminded him, amused at the thought of his reaction. "Wait, you actually filed them?" Paul sounded flustered. "Of course I did." "Why? Is something wrong?" "After all, it was your suggestion." Paul finally regained his composure. "Are you serious? When you say hot spring resort, do you mean some nearby spa? If that's the case, I'll grab dinner, so just come home soon." His sudden caring tone made me laugh even more. "It's about an hour-and-a-half drive. They even have an outdoor natural hot spring. It's quite lovely. I wonder if it'll rain tomorrow. Since you're going out to buy your own dinner, I've already packed up my things so you won't have to worry about me coming back. Please take care of yourself," Paul pleaded desperately, hoping I would reconsider. But I had no intention of returning. "You're the one who initiated the divorce papers, remember." It was clear he was using the threat of divorce to manipulate me. "I've already told you I can manage without you. Now that you've divorced your older wife, you can find someone younger. Whether you succeed or not is up to you." Paul fell silent. "It might not be my place, but you should consider moving out of that apartment," I continued. Finally, Paul spoke up again. "Why should I?" His voice was barely audible. "Think about your finances. You'll end up broke if you keep living there. You can't handle chores, cooking, or laundry. You'll need to hire help and eat out, right? That's costly. It would be problematic if most of your salary went toward rent. You always thought you were the one providing for me, but my salary is nearly double yours. You've never been the provider. If anything, it's been the opposite. And that confidence you had because of that one junior. I have multiple juniors under me and even more under them. I usually keep work talk to myself because Paul gets moody, but I outrank him both in position and salary. You'd think he'd have noticed by now, living together and all, but it seems like it's news to him. Maybe Paul, being the proud, dominant man he is, kept his ego intact by looking down on me. Now that he can't, he must be feeling quite defeated. I've dealt a blow to this pride, paid back for all these years. As for why I handled the household chores without complaint, even when you acted domineering, it was partly because you were younger and I cut you some slack, and partly because it was too much hassle to ask anything of you. I didn't need you to stay with me. I was just handling your needs alongside my own chores. So when you said, do the chores or we divorce, it was an easy choice. We're strangers now. Goodbye. I said my piece and hung up the phone. Feeling rejuvenated, I savored the hotel's cuisine. As anticipated, Paul reached out for reconciliation, but I responded with a smile. I'm older than you. I doubt you want me back. Apparently, he hadn't fared well with younger women. Eventually, Paul gave up and moved out of the apartment. Engaging a lawyer for asset division, I demanded more to compensate for the burden of household chores I had endured. Paul, being thrifty, didn't hire legal representation, giving me the upper hand. With my lawyer's assistance, we negotiated an agreement with favorable terms for me. Interestingly, it appears Paul's lone junior had been vocal about his poor leadership skills, to the extent that he couldn't even consider him a competent boss. Paul caught wind of this, and they are now embroiled in a dispute. He should have realized the importance of nurturing his own team. As for me, I had been offered a position at our overseas headquarters. Initially hesitant due to the circumstances and out of consideration for Paul, I finally decided to seize the opportunity. I'm currently gearing up for the transition. Though I've caused my father some concern, we've begun practicing video calls to stay connected when I'm abroad. I'm thrilled to pursue the career I've dreamed of since childhood. It's time to give it my all.
I stood frozen in the church hallway, staring at my phone in disbelief. The email from the travel agency confirmed what I'd feared. Our honeymoon reservations had been canceled. Not rescheduled, not modified, canceled. And I knew exactly who was responsible. Juliana? My best friend Avery's voice snapped me back to reality. The photographer needs you for the family photos. Your mother-in-law is getting impatient. Of course she was. Vanessa was always impatient when things weren't going exactly her way. I'm Juliana, and this was supposed to be my wedding day. Instead, it had become the Vanessa show, starring my mother-in-law as the commander-in-chief of everything from the flower arrangements to the seating chart. I'll be right there, I managed, quickly wiping away a tear before it could ruin my makeup. The makeup that Vanessa had insisted I get done by her preferred artist, not the one I'd originally booked. Walking into the church's main hall, I saw her holding court among the guests, wearing a cream-colored dress that was suspiciously close to white. "There you are, darling," she called out, her voice dripping with honey-coated venom. "We simply must get these photos done before the light changes." Aaron, my almost husband, shot me an apologetic look. He'd been doing that a lot lately. "Sorry," he whispered as I took my place beside him. "You know how she gets." "Ladies, please." The photographer clapped his hands. "Mother of the groom, if you could stand just here." "Oh no, I think I should be next to Aaron," Vanessa interrupted. "After all, this is a family photo, and we want to show our unity." I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Unity. Right. Like when she'd unified my carefully chosen blue and silver color scheme into her preferred burgundy and gold, or when she'd unified the guest list by adding 30 of her bridge club friends I'd never met. "Actually," I heard myself say, "I'd like a photo with just Aaron and me first." The silence that followed was deafening. "Juliana, dear." Vanessa's smile didn't reach her eyes. "This is a family occasion. We do things as a family." "It's our wedding," I countered, feeling Aaron's hand squeeze mine supportively. "Mom," Aaron started, but Vanessa was already positioning herself between us. Now, let's not make a scene," she said, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "We want these photos to be perfect, for the family album." The family album. The same excuse she'd used when changing my bouquet last minute, when rearranging the reception seating, when vetoing the father-daughter dance tribute I'd planned to honor my late dad. "This is for family," she'd said each time, as if I wasn't family enough. The photographer snapped away as Vanessa directed the show, and I stood there smiling mechanically, thinking about that canceled honeymoon email. The special trip my father had secretly saved for, revealed to me through a letter after his passing. His final gift, meant to make up for all the family vacations we couldn't afford when I was growing up. "Perfect," Vanessa declared after what felt like hours. "Now, about the reception entrance." "Excuse me," I muttered, needing air. I hurried toward the side door, but not before hearing Vanessa's stage whisper to her friend. "Poor thing, so emotional. But what can you expect? No mother to guide her through this important day. Thank goodness I'm here to handle things properly." I found myself in the church garden, gasping for breath. Avery appeared moments later, holding my phone. "You left this inside," she said softly. "Want to tell me what's really going on?" I showed her the email. Her eyes widened as she read. "She canceled your honeymoon? Can she even do that?" Apparently, she called pretending to be me, said it was a family emergency. I laughed bitterly. The travel agent even sent a note hoping everything was okay with my mother-in-law's health. "That witch," Avery breathed. "What are you going to do?" I looked back at the church, where Vanessa was undoubtedly reorganizing something else about my wedding. My wedding, which hadn't felt like mine since the moment I'd said yes to her son. "I don't know," I admitted. "But I do know one thing. This isn't over. She wants to play family games? Fine. But she has no idea who she's really dealing with." The church bells began to ring, signaling it was time for the ceremony. As I straightened my dress, the one Vanessa had helped me choose, I felt something shift inside me. This woman had taken over my wedding, canceled my honeymoon, and tried to erase every trace of my own family from this day. But she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd underestimated exactly how far I'd go to take back what was mine. 3 days after the wedding, I sat in my childhood home's attic, surrounded by dusty boxes and memories. The house was being sold next month, but I needed to find something first, the rest of my father's letter about the honeymoon. "Your dad was always so organized," Avery said, carefully opening another box. "It has to be here somewhere." I pulled out an old photo album, and a loose picture fell to the floor. It was me at 6 years old, sitting on my father's shoulders at the beach, both of us beaming at the camera. My mother had taken this photo during our only family vacation, a weekend getaway we'd saved up for all year. "Found something." Avery's voice pulled me back. She held up a manila envelope with "For Juliana's wedding," written in my father's familiar handwriting. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a USB drive, some documents, and the complete letter I'd only partially read before the wedding chaos began. "Read it out loud," Avery urged, scooting closer. "My dearest Julie," I began, my voice catching. "If you're reading this, it means I couldn't be there to walk you down the aisle, but I made sure to leave you something special." The letter detailed how he'd been saving for years, setting aside money from extra jobs and overtime shifts. He'd worked with his old friend Ezekiel, a family lawyer, to set up a special account for my honeymoon fund. "Wait," I said, grabbing my phone. "Ezekiel might still have access to this account." I dialed his number, praying he still worked at the same firm. "Juliana?" His warm voice answered. "I was wondering when you'd call." "You knew about the honeymoon fund?" "Your father made me promise to wait until you contacted me. He wanted it to be a surprise, but he also wanted to make sure no one could interfere with his gift to you." I thought of Vanessa's smug face when she'd announced at the reception that the honeymoon had been regrettably canceled due to family obligations. "Can you help me access it?" I asked. "Come to my office tomorrow at 10. Bring your ID and marriage certificate. And Juliana, your father was very specific about this being your money, no one else's." After hanging up, I plugged the USB drive into my laptop. It contained videos, dozens of them. My father had recorded messages for me over the years. I clicked on one dated just months before he passed away. Julie Bean, his familiar nickname for me, made my eyes water. "I know I won't be there to protect you anymore, but remember what your mother always said. Being kind doesn't mean being weak. You've got her spirit in you, sweetheart. Don't let anyone dim your light." Avery squeezed my hand as we watched more videos. In each one, my father talked about his dreams for me, his pride in my achievements, and most importantly, his hope that I'd find the strength to stand up for myself. "Your mom would have never let anyone push you around like this," Avery said softly. "And neither would your dad." She was right. My mother had been the kindest person I knew, but she was also fiercely protective of our family. Before cancer took her, she'd made me promise to never let anyone make me feel small. My phone buzzed, a text from Vanessa. "Dinner at our house tomorrow night, family meeting to discuss the holiday arrangements. Non-negotiable." "Non-negotiable," I repeated, a plan forming in my mind. "We'll see about that." I called Aaron, who was at work. "Hey, can you meet me at Ezekiel's office tomorrow at 10? Your dad's lawyer, is everything okay?" "It will be, but I need you to trust me on this." There was a pause. "Is this about what Mom did with the honeymoon?" Among other things. Aaron, I love you, but I can't keep living like this. Your mother needs to understand that I'm not her puppet. I know, he sighed, and I'm sorry I haven't stood up to her more. What do you need me to do? Just be there tomorrow, and maybe start thinking about where you'd like to go on our honeymoon. After hanging up, I found one last video from my father, dated just weeks before he died. Julie Bean, remember that time you stood up to those bullies in middle school? You didn't fight them. You outsmarted them. That's my girl. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising above. But rising above doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It means being clever, being strong, and most importantly, being true to yourself. I closed the laptop, my resolve strengthening. Avery, I need your help with something else. How good are you at keeping secrets? She grinned. Better than your mother-in-law is at minding her own business. Tomorrow would be the first step in taking back control of my life. Vanessa wanted to play family politics? Fine. But she was about to learn that she wasn't the only one who could play that game. Ezekiel's office felt smaller than I remembered, especially with Aaron nervously shifting beside me. The morning light filtered through Venetian blinds, casting striped shadows across the mahogany desk where my father's lawyer spread out several documents. Your father was quite thorough, Ezekiel said, sliding a folder toward me. The honeymoon fund contains exactly $15,000, plus 5 years of accumulated interest. Aaron's eyes widened. That's incredible. And completely separate from any joint accounts or family finances, Ezekiel added pointedly. The money is solely in Juliana's name. I pulled out my phone and opened the travel agency's website. Can we rebook everything right now? Actually, Aaron interrupted, I have a better idea. He turned to me, taking my hand. What if we plan something completely different? Something Mom doesn't know about and can't interfere with? A slow smile spread across my face. I'm listening. My friend runs a boutique travel agency. We could book through him, use a different email, keep everything under wraps until we're actually gone. Ezekiel nodded approvingly. Smart thinking. Your mother-in-law wouldn't be able to cancel what she doesn't know exists. Just then, my phone buzzed. Speaking of the devil, Vanessa was calling. I declined the call, but seconds later, a text appeared. Don't forget dinner tonight. Wearing that lovely burgundy dress I bought you would be appropriate. She's still trying to control everything, I muttered. Not for long, Aaron said firmly. I've been thinking about what you said, and you're right. This has to stop. After leaving Ezekiel's office, we met Avery at a cafe far from Vanessa's usual haunts. Aaron's travel agent friend, Marcus, joined us via video call. Bali, Marcus suggested, scrolling through options. Or maybe the Maldives. Both destinations have excellent privacy policies for their luxury resorts. The Maldives, I decided. It's perfect. Completely different from the European tour Vanessa canceled. And significantly more expensive, Avery added with a grin. Good thing you've got that fund. We spent the next hour booking everything under Aaron's work email, using points from his corporate card to further mask the transactions. By the time we finished, our secret honeymoon was set for 3 weeks away. Now, Avery said, pulling out her notebook, about tonight's dinner. I have an idea about that too, I said, feeling more confident than I had in weeks. But I need to make a quick stop first. An hour later, I walked into a small boutique where Deborah, our original wedding planner, worked. She looked up in surprise when I entered. Juliana, I'm so sorry about everything that happened with the wedding. Your mother-in-law was quite persuasive. That's one word for it, I replied. Listen, I need your help with something, and this time, we're not letting Vanessa anywhere near it. By the time I arrived at Vanessa's house that evening, I was ready. I'd worn a deep blue dress instead of the burgundy one she'd chosen, a small act of defiance that didn't go unnoticed. Oh, darling, Vanessa said, air kissing my cheek. That dress is interesting, though the one I bought would have been more appropriate for a family dinner. I think she looks beautiful, Aaron said, placing his hand on my lower back. Vanessa's smile tightened. Well, shall we discuss the holiday arrangements? I've already made some preliminary bookings for Christmas. Actually, I interrupted, Aaron and I have an announcement first. I pulled out an envelope and handed it to her. Inside was a donation receipt for $5,000 to the local children's hospital, in her name. What's this? she asked, confusion crossing her face. We donated the money we saved from canceling the honeymoon, I explained sweetly. Since you were so concerned about family obligations, we thought you'd be proud to have this charitable contribution in your name. The color drained from her face. I don't understand. It's simple, Mom, Aaron said. We're done letting you control everything. From now on, Juliana and I make our own decisions. But I only want what's best for the family. No, I said firmly, channeling my mother's strength. You want what's best for your image. There's a difference. I stood up, smoothing my deliberately chosen blue dress. Now, if you'll excuse us, we need to head home. We have some planning to do for our future, our way. As we left, I sent a quick text to Avery. Phase 1 complete. Start spreading the word about the canceled honeymoon donation. Let's see how Vanessa handles being known as the generous mother-in-law who inspired such charitable giving. Aaron squeezed my hand as we drove away. You know she's going to be furious when she realizes what we've done. I smiled, thinking of our secret Maldives reservation. Oh, she hasn't realized anything yet. This is just the beginning. The next 2 weeks were a masterclass in stealth planning. Every lunch break, every evening after work, Aaron and I methodically prepared for our secret getaway. We bought new swimsuits from stores Vanessa would never visit, ordered reef-safe sunscreen from small online retailers, and had everything delivered to Avery's apartment. Your mother-in-law's been calling me, Deborah said during our secret meeting at a small coffee shop. She's trying to arrange a surprise anniversary party for you two next month. I nearly choked on my latte. We'll be in the Maldives then. Exactly. Deborah's eyes twinkled. And I'm having so much fun giving her the runaround about venue availability. My phone buzzed. Another text from Vanessa. Darling, lunch tomorrow? We need to discuss some family matters. She's getting suspicious, I told Deborah. She's been trying to schedule family lunches almost every day. Keep her busy with small decisions, Deborah advised. It's an old planner's trick. Give her tiny things to control, and she won't see the big picture. Following her advice, I called Vanessa. About lunch tomorrow. Could you help me choose new curtains for the living room instead? Your taste is so impeccable. Oh, I could hear the pleasure in her voice. Of course, darling. I know just the place. That evening, Aaron and I were packing our secret suitcases at Avery's when my phone rang again. This time it was Marcus, the travel agent. We have a situation, he said. Someone's been calling around local travel agencies, asking about bookings under your names. My heart stopped. What? Don't worry, you're not in our system under either of your names, but thought you should know. After hanging up, I paced Avery's living room. She's getting closer. Then we need to throw her off completely, Avery said. She grabbed her laptop and pulled up a travel website. Watch this. She booked a fully refundable trip to Vancouver for the same dates as our Maldives vacation using my email address. Now we wait, she said, grinning. Sure enough, within hours, I received a confirmation email. I forwarded it to Vanessa with a simple message. Looking forward to some quiet time for reflection. The next day, I met Vanessa at an upscale home decor store. She was already examining fabric swatches when I arrived. Burgundy would warm up your living room beautifully, she said, not looking up. I was thinking ocean blue, actually, to match our Vancouver photos when we get back. Her head snapped up. Vancouver? Just a little solo trip. Time to clear my head after everything. Alone? But what about Aaron? What about family? Aaron understands I need space, especially after the honeymoon situation. Vanessa's face tightened. I only canceled that trip because it was a family matter, I interrupted sweetly. Yes, you mentioned that. Several times. That evening, I received a series of texts from various family members, all expressing concern about my emotional state and my selfish decision to travel alone. She's rallying the troops, Aaron said, reading over my shoulder. Perfect. I showed him my phone screen. Avery's already canceled the Vancouver booking. Your mom's probably trying to track it down right now to cancel it herself. You're kind of scary sometimes, he said, but he was smiling. I learned from the best. The next morning, I found a note slipped under our apartment door. The handwriting was Vanessa's. Darling, family doesn't keep secrets. Remember that. Is that a threat? Aaron asked, reading the note. No, I said, tucking it into my purse. It's desperation. Later that day, I met with Ezekiel again, showing him the note. Document everything, he advised. Every text, every call, every note, just in case. You think she'd actually try something? I think people who are used to control become unpredictable when they lose it. On my way home, I stopped by my childhood house one last time. The sale was almost complete, but I needed one more thing. In my old bedroom closet, I found what I was looking for, my mother's old journal. Inside, she'd written about her own struggles with Vanessa years ago, when she'd first started dating my father. The last entry before she got sick read, "Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is smile in the face of those who want to see you break." My phone buzzed again. Vanessa had sent a group text to the entire family. "Concerned about our dear Juliana. Please join us for a family intervention dinner this Saturday." I showed it to Aaron when I got home. He immediately started typing a response, but I stopped him. "Wait," I said. "Let's give her exactly what she wants. A family dinner where everything comes out in the open." "You sure?" I thought of our packed suitcases at Avery's, our secret reservations, and the look on Vanessa's face when she realized she'd lost control. "Trust me," I said. "Saturday's dinner is going to be unforgettable." Saturday evening arrived with the weight of an approaching storm. As Aaron and I pulled up to Vanessa's house, I counted 6 other cars parked outside. "She really did invite the whole family," Aaron muttered. "Good," I replied, checking my purse one last time. My mother's journal was there, along with a few other carefully chosen items. The more witnesses, the better. Vanessa opened the door before we could knock, wearing a concerned expression that wouldn't have looked out of place on a daytime soap opera. "Oh, darling, we're all so worried about you." The living room was packed with Aaron's relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins, all wearing matching expressions of manufactured concern. Aunt Patricia immediately rushed over to hug me. "We're here to help, dear," she said, patting my cheek. "Vanessa told us everything." "Did she?" I asked, looking directly at my mother-in-law. "What exactly did she tell you?" "About your emotional instability," Uncle Robert chimed in. "The secret trips, the erratic behavior. The charitable donation in my name," Vanessa added, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue, clearly a cry for help. I sat down on the sofa, Aaron's hand supportively on my shoulder. "You're right. We should talk about everything, including this." I pulled out my phone and played a voicemail from the travel agency. "Mrs. Sanders, we're calling to confirm that you authorized the cancellation of your daughter-in-law's honeymoon booking. We'll need written confirmation." The room fell silent. "That's not," Vanessa started. "And these," I continued, pulling out a stack of screenshots. "Every email where you changed our wedding vendors without consulting us. Every message where you overrode our decisions. All documented." Aunt Patricia's concerned expression wavered. "Vanessa, you said the honeymoon was canceled because Juliana was having second thoughts." "She was protecting the family," Uncle Robert defended, but he didn't sound as confident anymore. "No," Aaron spoke up, his voice firm. "She was controlling the family. There's a difference." I opened my mother's journal to a marked page. "Actually, this isn't new behavior. 28 years ago, my mother wrote about how Vanessa tried to break up her relationship with my father. She tried to cancel their wedding venue, too." Vanessa's face went pale. "That's ancient history, is it? Because you're still doing the same things, trying to control everyone, manipulating situations, turning family members against each other." "Everything I do is for this family," Vanessa snapped, her composed facade cracking. "Like canceling the honeymoon my dead father saved up for?" My voice was steady, even as tears threatened. "Was that for the family?" The room erupted in whispers. Aunt Patricia covered her mouth in shock. I didn't know it was from your father," Vanessa stammered. "Would it have mattered if you did?" Before she could answer, my phone buzzed. I checked it. A text from Avery. "Everything's set. Operation Maldives is go." You know what the saddest part is? I stood up, addressing the whole room. "You're so focused on controlling everything that you don't realize how much you're pushing people away. Aaron and I wanted to share our lives with you, but you turned every moment into a power play." "That's not true," Vanessa protested. "Tell them, Aaron." But Aaron shook his head. "No, Mom. Juliana's right. This has to stop. We're leaving now," I announced. "And when we get back, things will be different." "Back? Back from where?" Vanessa demanded. I walked to the door, then turned back with a smile my mother would have been proud of. "That's the thing about family, Vanessa. They don't keep secrets, remember? So I'm sure you'll figure it out." As we drove away, Aaron's phone started blowing up with messages from his relatives. "They're all asking what really happened with the wedding," he said. Mom's story is falling apart. Good, I replied. Let the truth come out. We won't be here to deal with the fallout anyway. 3 days until paradise. Aaron grinned. Back home, I found one final note slipped under our door. But this time it wasn't from Vanessa. It was from Aunt Patricia. Your mother was one of the kindest people I knew. She would be proud of you for standing up for yourself. P.S. Don't worry about Vanessa. We'll handle her while you're gone. Enjoy the Maldives. Overheard her frantically calling travel agencies earlier. Your secret's safe with me. I showed the note to Aaron, who laughed. Mom's going to lose it when she realizes her own sister is on our side. She's going to lose it anyway when she discovers we're gone, I said. But for once, there's nothing she can do about it. We spent the rest of the evening packing our official suitcases, the ones we'd leave behind as decoys while we escaped to our real paradise. In 3 days, we'd be on a plane to the Maldives, and Vanessa would finally learn what it felt like to not be in control. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting free. The morning of our escape, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Vanessa and one very interesting text from Deborah. She's planning a surprise send-off party for your Vancouver trip tonight. Should we let the plan proceed? Perfect timing, I told Aaron, showing him the message. She's playing right into our hands. We spent the morning making a show of packing our decoy suitcases with winter clothes for Vancouver. Right on schedule, Vanessa appeared at our door, practically buzzing with barely contained energy. Darling, you simply must come to dinner tonight before your trip. The whole family wants to properly say goodbye. I don't know. I pretended to hesitate. I insist, she said, that familiar, commanding tone creeping in. We've reserved the private room at La Maison. Aaron squeezed my hand. We'll be there, Mom. After she left, we sprang into action. While Aaron picked up our real luggage from Avery's, I met with Deborah one last time. Everything's set at the restaurant, she confirmed. I've arranged for the staff to play along. They'll bring out your surprise at exactly 8:15. And the photographer? Ready and waiting. Trust me, you'll want pictures of her face when she realizes what's happening. That evening, we arrived at La Maison to find the entire family already seated. Vanessa had outdone herself, flowers everywhere, a Bon Voyage banner, and what looked like wrapped presents on a side table. Vancouver is lovely this time of year, Aunt Patricia said with a wink as she hugged me. Vanessa clinked her glass, commanding attention. Before we begin, I'd like to say something. She stood, adjusting her perfectly pressed blazer. When I first heard about this solo trip, I was concerned. But now I realize this is exactly what our dear Juliana needs. Time to reflect, to understand the importance of family. I checked my watch. 8:10. In fact, Vanessa continued, I've taken the liberty of arranging some activities for you in Vancouver. My friend runs a wonderful family counseling center there. 8:13. Because family is everything, and sometimes we need guidance to see that clearly. 8:14. Which is why I've also booked myself a ticket to join you next week. Actually, I interrupted, standing up as the restaurant staff began wheeling in a large covered presentation board. I have an announcement of my own. Vanessa's smile froze. What's this? A surprise, Aaron said, joining me. For everyone. The staff removed the cover, revealing a massive photo collage. Front and center was a picture of our overwater bungalow in the Maldives, surrounded by our itinerary, booking confirmations, and a countdown clock reading, takeoff in 10 hours. The room erupted in gasps and exclamations. Vanessa's face went from confusion to shock to fury in rapid succession. But Vancouver, she sputtered, was never real, I finished for her, just like your concern for my emotional well-being. You lied to the family, she accused, trying to regain control of the narrative. No, Vanessa. We protected our privacy from someone who repeatedly violated it. I turned to address the room. Our flight leaves tomorrow morning. We'll be gone for 2 weeks, enjoying the honeymoon my father planned for us before he died. The honeymoon that was canceled without our consent. Uncle Robert let out a low whistle. Well played, kids. You can't do this. Vanessa stood so quickly her chair scraped loudly against the floor. I already told everyone about Vancouver. I made arrangements. Like you made arrangements to cancel our original honeymoon? Aaron asked quietly. Mom, this has to stop. Aunt Patricia started clapping, and soon the whole room joined in, except Vanessa, who looked like she'd swallowed something sour. A toast, Uncle Robert called out, raising his glass. To the happy couple, may your honeymoon be as brilliant as this masterful escape plan. As everyone clinked glasses, Vanessa grabbed her purse and stormed toward the door. But before leaving, she turned back with fire in her eyes. "This isn't over," she hissed. "Actually, it is," I replied calmly. "Check your phone." She pulled it out, and I watched as her eyes widened at the notification. I just tagged her in a social media post, a photo of the Children's Hospital donation receipt, praising her generous spirit in turning our canceled honeymoon funds into a charitable contribution. "You wouldn't dare." "I already did. The post is going viral in our community as we speak. Congratulations, Vanessa. You're now known as the most charitable mother-in-law in town." She fled the restaurant, leaving behind a room full of laughing relatives and one very satisfied daughter-in-law. "Ready for paradise?" Aaron whispered in my ear. I looked around at our supportive family members, all raising their glasses in celebration of our rebellion. "More than ready," I replied. "Let's show your mother what real family loyalty looks like." The Maldives were everything we dreamed of and more. For 12 blissful days, we lived in paradise. No drama, no manipulation, no Vanessa. Just crystal clear waters, white sand beaches, and blessed silence from our phones, which we'd left on airplane mode, until day 13. "You need to see this," Aaron said, his face illuminated by his phone screen as we lay in our beachfront hammock. He'd briefly connected to the resort's Wi-Fi to check our flight details. I peered at his screen. Dozens of missed calls, hundreds of messages, and one very interesting email from Aunt Patricia with the subject line, "Your mother-in-law's meltdown gone viral." "Should we look?" I asked. "I think we have to." The email contained a link to a local news website. There, in all its glory, was a video of Vanessa at a charity gala, clearly intoxicated, ranting about ungrateful children and family betrayal. The caption read, "Local philanthropist's public meltdown raises questions about recent charitable donations." "Oh my God," I breathed. "Keep reading," Aaron said. According to Aunt Patricia's email, Vanessa had tried to maintain her image by throwing herself into charity work after our departure. She'd even attempted to take credit for organizing the Children's Hospital donation. But at the gala, after one too many glasses of champagne, she'd lost it. "Play the video," I said. The footage was shaky but clear enough. There was Vanessa, designer dress slightly askew, gesturing wildly with a champagne glass. "They think they can embarrass me?" She slurred into a microphone she'd apparently grabbed from the event's MC. "I gave them everything. I planned the perfect wedding. And this is how they repay me? By running off to some islands and making me look foolish?" The crowd's uncomfortable murmurs were audible in the background. "And that donation," she continued, "that was supposed to be their honeymoon. I canceled it because they weren't ready for marriage. I did it for them, for family." The video ended with security gently escorting her from the stage. "There's more," Aaron said, scrolling through messages. "The hospital is investigating the donation situation. Mom's Bridge Club has suspended her membership, and..." He paused. "The family's annual Christmas party has been moved to Aunt Patricia's house." I sat up in the hammock. "That's been at your mom's house for 20 years. "Exactly." He looked at me. "You know what this means?" She's lost control of the narrative. Just then, both our phones buzzed simultaneously. A text from Vanessa. "Coming to the airport to meet your return flight. We need to fix this situation immediately." I showed Aaron my screen. How did she even know our flight details? Probably called every airline until she found the booking. He ran a hand through his hair. "What do you want to do?" I thought about it for a moment, then called Deborah. "Already on it," she said before I could even explain. "I can have a car waiting at the private terminal. You won't have to go through the main arrival area." "You're a lifesaver." "Oh, and Juliana, you might want to check your email. The video of Vanessa's meltdown has caught the attention of a women's magazine. They want to interview you about standing up to toxic family dynamics." After hanging up, I found Aaron staring at his phone again. "More family messages?" "No," he said slowly. "It's an email from Dad." My breath caught. Aaron's father had left when he was young, driven away by Vanessa's controlling behavior. He rarely made contact. "He saw the video," Aaron continued. "Says he's proud of us for standing up to her, and..." He swallowed hard. "He wants to meet for coffee when we get back." I squeezed his hand. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I just never thought..." He shook his head. Mom's actions didn't just affect us, did they? They've been hurting people for years. Our phones buzzed again. Another message from Vanessa. This is not a request. Family handles problems together. I looked at Aaron, then at the pristine beach around us, then back at the phone. Finally, I typed a response. You're right, Vanessa. Family does handle problems together. That's why the entire family watched that video of you at the gala. That's why they're all making their own decisions now. You wanted to talk about family? Let's talk about how you've treated yours for the past 20 years. Aaron read over my shoulder as I typed. Send it, he said firmly. I hit send, then turned off my phone. We had one more day in paradise, and I intended to enjoy it. Think she'll be waiting at the main terminal anyway? Aaron asked. Probably. But for the first time in her life, she'll be waiting for something she can't control. We settled back into the hammock, listening to the waves. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but we'd face them together, on our terms, not Vanessa's. The private terminal was quiet when our flight landed. True to her word, Deborah had arranged everything perfectly. A discreet exit, tinted window car waiting, and a text confirming Vanessa was indeed stalking the main terminal. Ready to face the real world? Aaron asked as we drove home. Before I could answer, both our phones lit up with notifications. The magazine article about standing up to toxic family relationships had gone live while we were in the air. They used the gala video, Aaron noted, scrolling through the article. They used more than that, I said, reading further. Look, other families are sharing similar stories in the comments. We're not the only ones who've dealt with this. We arrived home to find Aunt Patricia waiting in our driveway. Don't worry, she said, hugging us both. I've been keeping an eye on your place. And you should know, things have changed while you were gone. Inside, she filled us in. After the gala incident, family members had started sharing their own stories of Vanessa's manipulation. Uncle Robert's daughter revealed how Vanessa had sabotaged her college choices. Aaron's cousin admitted she'd eloped because of Vanessa's interference with wedding plans. The dam broke, Aunt Patricia explained. Once one person spoke up, everyone started talking. My phone rang, Vanessa's number. Put it on speaker, Aaron said. Juliana. Vanessa's voice was tightly controlled. I've been trying to reach you. I know. This situation has gotten out of hand. That article, those comments, people don't understand. I need you to make a statement. Explain that it was all a misunderstanding. No. A sharp intake of breath. No? The only misunderstanding was you thinking you could control everyone forever. I am your mother-in-law, and I am your daughter-in-law, not your puppet. The difference is, I never tried to control you. Aaron, Vanessa tried. Surely you understand. I understand perfectly, Mom. Aaron interrupted. I understand why Dad left, why Sarah eloped, why none of your children-in-law want to spend time with you, and I understand that it stops now. Silence filled the line. We're willing to have a relationship with you, I said softly, but it has to be a healthy one. No more manipulation, no more control, no more family ultimatums. And if I refuse? Then you'll lose us, Aaron said simply. Your choice. The line went dead. Aunt Patricia squeezed my hand. That was brave, both of you. A knock at the door made us all jump. It was Deborah, looking excited. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. She pulled up a social media post on her phone. Vanessa just published this. The post was surprisingly short. To my family, I am seeking professional help to address my controlling behavior. I realize now that my actions have caused pain to those I love most. I don't expect immediate forgiveness, but I am committed to change. Is it genuine? Aaron wondered. Look at the comments, Deborah said. The first comment was from Aaron's father. This is a good first step, Vanessa. Perhaps we can all begin to heal. More family members had chimed in, offering cautious support while maintaining firm boundaries. The community of people from the magazine article were also commenting, sharing resources for family therapy and recovery. It's not a perfect ending, I said, but it's a start. My phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. I would like to meet, just to talk. No demands, no conditions, when you're ready. I showed it to Aaron. He nodded slowly. Tell her we'll think about it, he said, on our terms. I typed a response. We appreciate your willingness to change. Give us time to process everything. Maybe we can get coffee next week. in a public place with clear boundaries. Her reply came quickly. I understand. Thank you for the chance. Later that evening, as Aaron and I unpacked our suitcases, I found my mother's journal at the bottom of my carry-on. Opening it to a random page, I read her words. Love doesn't demand control. It offers freedom to grow, to change, to become. What are you thinking? Aaron asked, noticing my smile. That sometimes the happy ending isn't about winning or losing. It's about breaking free and giving others the chance to do the same. He pulled me close. Think Mom will actually change? I don't know. But that's not our responsibility. We've shown her, and everyone else, that it's possible to stand up for yourself while still leaving the door open for healing. Speaking of doors, Aaron grinned, should we tell her we're house hunting in another neighborhood? Let's save that conversation for another day. Right now, I just want to enjoy our freedom. Outside, the sun was setting on our first day back, not as newlyweds under Vanessa's thumb, but as partners who had faced manipulation and emerged stronger. Whatever came next, we would face it together on our own terms. And that was the sweetest victory of all.
The measuring spoons clattered against the metal bowl as my hands trembled. 6 wedding cakes. I'd done hundreds before, but this one was different. This one was for him. I'm Scarlett, and somehow I'd landed myself in the most twisted situation of my life, baking for my ex-boyfriend's wedding. The same man who'd told me I'd never amount to anything more than small-town trash. Girl, you need to call them and cancel. Tabitha's voice cut through my spiraling thoughts as she leaned against my industrial kitchen counter. This isn't healthy. I can't. I continued mixing the batter, perhaps a bit more aggressively than necessary. This contract could put sweet endings on the map. Do you know how many wealthy clients attend these society weddings? Screw wealthy clients. Tabitha grabbed my wrist, forcing me to stop stirring. We're talking about Jackson, the same Jackson who dumped me because I wasn't ambitious enough for his taste. I yanked my hand away. Trust me, I remember. The timer dinged, and I welcomed the distraction, pulling out a perfectly golden layer of vanilla sponge. The familiar scent of butter and vanilla usually calmed me, but today it just reminded me of that last night with Jackson, when I'd baked him his favorite cookies right before he crushed my heart. At least let me come with you to the venue tomorrow, Tabitha pleaded, following me as I moved around the kitchen. You shouldn't face them alone. Them? I raised an eyebrow, setting the cake layer to cool. Jackson, his stuck-up friends, and his picture-perfect fiancée. She counted off on her fingers. What's her name again? Celeste? The name hit like a punch to the gut. I'd seen Celeste's face plastered across local society pages. Old money, perfect smile, everything I supposedly wasn't. Look, I said, turning to face Tabitha. This is just business. I'm not the same naive girl who thought love conquered all. I own this bakery now. I'm successful in my own right. Rhea called earlier. Tabitha changed tactics. She said she'd be happy to take this contract if... No. I slammed a cabinet door harder than intended. I'm not hiding from this. Besides, you should see the commission they're paying. It's enough to finally get that new industrial mixer we need. My phone buzzed with a text. Speaking of the devil, it was from Jackson's wedding planner, confirming tomorrow's venue visit. Fine. Tabitha threw up her hands in defeat. But promise me you won't let them get to you. Especially that friend of his. What's his name? Chase? I heard he's been running his mouth about you taking the contract. I forced a smile. Let them talk. I'll let my work speak for itself. The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur of buttercream and fondant. As the sun set, casting long shadows across my empty bakery, Tabitha finally headed home, but not before making me promise to call her if things went sideways tomorrow. Alone at last, I pulled out the wedding brief, 6 tiers of white chocolate and raspberry, decorated with hand-painted sugar flowers. Classic, elegant, probably cost more than my first car. My fingers traced over the specifications, remembering how Jackson used to mock my dreams of opening my own bakery. A baker, he'd laughed. Come on, Scarlett, you're better than that. Come to the city with me. I can get you a real job. The memory sparked something inside me. Not pain, not anymore, but determination. I grabbed my phone and dialed. Ria, hey, I know it's late, but I need a favor. Remember those sugar flowers you're so amazing at? Think you could help me create something spectacular tomorrow? I want to show these people what small-town trash can really do. Her enthusiastic response made me smile for the first time that day. Tomorrow I'd walk into that venue with my head held high. Let them whisper, let them judge. I had nothing to prove to Jackson or his wealthy friends anymore. But I had everything to prove to myself. As I locked up the bakery, the streetlights flickering to life around me, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wedding would change everything. I just didn't know how right I was. Looking up at the fading sunset, I made myself a promise. By the time this wedding was over, they'd never forget the small-town baker they'd underestimated. I just had no idea then that revenge would taste sweeter than any cake I'd ever baked. The Griffin estate loomed before me, all marble columns and manicured lawns. I gripped my portfolio tighter, forcing myself to breathe as I navigated my beat-up Honda through a sea of luxury vehicles. Well, if it isn't the little baker girl. Chase's voice dripped with condescension as I stepped out of my car. He stood with a group of Jackson's friends near the entrance, champagne flutes in hand despite the early hour. I straightened my blazer, silently thanking Tabitha for insisting I dress rich people fancy today. Good morning, Chase. Still day drinking at 10 a.m., I see. Some things never change. His smile tightened as a few of his companions poorly concealed their snickers. Before he could respond, the wedding planner, Miranda, clicked her way down the steps in impossibly high heels. Scarlett, thank goodness you're here. We need to discuss the cake placement immediately. She grabbed my arm, steering me away from Chase's group. Don't mind them, darling. They're just here for the pre-wedding brunch. Inside, the mansion buzzed with activity. Staff members darted around with flowers and fabric swatches, transforming the already opulent space into something even more extravagant. The cake will go here. Miranda gestured to an elaborate display area. We're thinking of a spotlight effect to really make it pop. Perfect. I opened my portfolio, showing her the sketches Ria and I had worked on last night. I was thinking we could incorporate these hand-painted sugar flowers cascading down. Oh my God, is that Scarlett Young? I froze. That voice. I turned to see Sylvia, Celeste's sister, sashaying toward us in a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. I told Celeste she should have gone with a fancy bakery in the city, she stage whispered to Miranda. But she insisted on supporting local business. Her air quotes made my teeth clench. Your sister has excellent taste, I replied smoothly. My sugar flowers won the regional pastry competition last spring. How quaint. Sylvia picked up my portfolio, flipping through it with exaggerated disinterest. But can you handle something of this scale? This isn't exactly a small-town birthday party. I assure you, I started, but was cut off by new voices entering the room. The flowers should be roses, Jackson. I don't care what your mother says about lilies. My heart stopped. Jackson and Celeste walked in, arm in arm, the perfect society couple. He looked exactly the same, maybe a bit more polished, but still devastatingly handsome, until he opened his mouth. Scarlett. His surprise quickly morphed into that familiar smirk. I didn't think you'd actually come. I'm professional enough to separate business from pleasure, I said, taking my portfolio back from Sylvia, or lack thereof. Celeste's eyes darted between us, her perfect smile never wavering. So you're the famous baker everyone's been talking about. Your portfolio is impressive. Something in her tone made me look closer. Behind that society smile, I caught a flash of something. Recognition, understanding. Before I could analyze it further, Chase sauntered in. Hey Jackson, remember when Scarlett used to talk about opening a cute little cupcake shop? He laughed, draping an arm over Jackson's shoulder. Look at her now, living the dream. Actually, I cut in, pulling up photos on my tablet. Sweet Endings was just featured in Wedding Style magazine. These are from the governor's daughter's wedding last month. The room fell silent as they looked at the photos. Even Sylvia's perfectly maintained eyebrows rose slightly. Well, Miranda clapped her hands, breaking the tension. We should discuss the delivery schedule. Scarlett, if you'll follow me. As we walked away, I heard Chase mutter, "Still can't believe they hired the help to cater." I stopped dead in my tracks, turning slowly. You know what, Chase? You're right. I am the help. And I'm damn proud of it. Because while you're still living off Daddy's money, I built something of my own. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a wedding cake to design. The silence that followed me out was sweeter than any frosting I'd ever made, but it was Celeste's expression that stuck with me. That quick flash of what looked almost like admiration. Miranda led me to a private room to discuss details, but my mind was racing. Something felt off about this whole situation. The way Celeste had looked at me, the tension in the room that went beyond mere social awkwardness. "Scarlett?" Miranda's voice snapped me back. "About the delivery schedule." "Right," I said, pulling out my calendar. "Let's make sure everything is perfect for the big day." Perfect, I thought, or perfectly devastating. Either way, I had a feeling this wedding was going to be one for the books. 2 weeks before the wedding, I was back at the Griffin estate, setting up a tasting session. My hands moved with practiced precision as I arranged cake samples on delicate china plates, each one a testament to years of perfecting my craft. Still playing with sugar and flour, I see. I didn't need to turn around to know it was Jackson. His cologne, still the same expensive brand, filled the empty dining room. "Some of us actually enjoy our work," I said, continuing to arrange the plates. "Though I suppose that's hard to understand when you're just managing Daddy's hedge fund." He moved closer, examining the display. "You know, I always thought you'd grow out of this phase. Come to your senses." "You mean become the trophy wife you wanted?" I finally turned to face him. "Sorry to disappoint. That's not." He ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair. "I wanted more for you, Scarlett. This town, this life. It's so small." "Small?" I gestured to the cake samples. "The governor's daughter didn't think so. Neither did the mayor's son, or that tech billionaire who flew me to California last month." His eyes narrowed. "Since when do you travel for work? Have high-profile clients?" "Sorry, I forgot to update you on my career moves after you dumped me." The door opened, and Miranda bustled in with her clipboard. "Everything ready. The family will be here in 5 minutes." "Perfect timing," a voice said behind her. Celeste stood in the doorway, looking immaculate in a cream-colored suit. Her eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that seemed out of place for a simple cake tasting. "Jackson, darling," she said, not breaking eye contact with me. "Your mother's on the phone. Something about the seating arrangement." He hesitated, looking between us before leaving. The moment he was gone, Celeste's perfect posture slumped slightly. "Miranda," she said, "could you give us a moment?" After Miranda left, Celeste approached the display, picking up a fork. "You made these yourself?" "Every layer." I watched her carefully. "Is there a problem?" "No," she said, sampling the lemon cake. "They're excellent, just like the ones you used to make for the homeless shelter on 5th Street. My hand froze mid-arrangement. "How did you—" "I volunteered there," she said quietly. 3 years ago, before my family." She trailed off, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against the china. "Before things changed." Before I could respond, the doors burst open. Chase and Sylvia entered, followed by several other members of the wedding party. "Oh, good cake!" Chase grabbed a fork. "Let's see if small-town baker can compete with—" "Chase," Celeste cut him off sharply. "Show some respect. Scarlett's work is exceptional." The room fell silent. Chase's fork stopped midway to his mouth. "In fact," Celeste continued, "I'd love to discuss some special requests with you, Scarlett. Privately. Perhaps tomorrow?" Sylvia's eyes narrowed. "Celeste, we have the final dress fitting tomorrow." "I'll reschedule." Celeste handed me a business card. "My private number's on the back. Call me in the morning." The tasting continued, in a blur of compliments and critiques, but my mind was elsewhere. Something was happening beneath the surface. Something in Celeste's eyes when she mentioned the shelter. As I packed up my supplies later, Jackson reappeared. "Whatever game you're playing," he said, leaning against the door frame. "It won't work." "Game." I closed my cake carrier with a snap. "I'm just doing my job." Celeste is naive. She doesn't know you like I do. I straightened up, meeting his gaze. "No, she doesn't know me like you do. She seems to know me better." His jaw tightened. "Just remember your place, Scarlett. You're the help, nothing more." "My place?" I stepped closer. "My place is wherever I damn well choose it to be. And right now, it's making your wedding cake. Unless you'd like to explain to your society friends why you fired the baker featured in Wedding Style." He opened his mouth, then closed it again. "That's what I thought." I gathered my things and headed for the door, pausing beside him. "Oh, and Jackson, the lemon cake you just praised? It's the same recipe you called amateur 5 years ago. Funny how money changes people's taste buds." I left him standing there, but my confidence wavered once I reached my car. Celeste's business card burned in my pocket like a live coal. Tomorrow's meeting could change everything. I just wasn't sure if it would be for better or worse. As I drove home, my phone buzzed with a text from Tabitha. "How'd it go?" I pulled over and stared at the message, then at Celeste's card. After a long moment, I typed back, "You're not going to believe what just happened." The coffee shop Celeste chose was on the outskirts of town. No chance of running into her usual crowd here. She sat in a corner booth, her designer clothes standing out against the worn leather seats. "You're probably wondering why I asked you here," she said, as I slid into the seat across from her. The thought crossed my mind. I wrapped my hands around my coffee mug. "Along with why the bride is having secret meetings with her fiancé's ex." Celeste leaned forward, her voice dropping. "What do you know about my family's business? Griffin Industries, only what everyone knows. Real estate development, corporate acquisitions. That's the glossy version." She pulled out her phone, sliding it across the table. "This is the reality." I looked at the screen. Documents, photographs, spreadsheets. "I don't understand." Keep scrolling. With each swipe, my stomach turned. Photos of demolished community centers, eviction notices, environmental violations, spreadsheets showing manipulated numbers, properties undervalued, then resold at massive profits. "That homeless shelter where we met." Celeste's voice cracked. "My father bought it 6 months later. Now it's luxury condos." "Why are you showing me this?" "Because I need your help." She grabbed my wrist. "And because you're the only person who might understand." "Understand what?" "What it's like to watch Jackson and his friends destroy people's lives while calling it business." Her grip tightened. "I thought I could change things from the inside, but this wedding, it's just another business merger. My family's influence combined with his family's connections." The bell above the door chimed. We both jumped as Rhea walked in, stopping short when she saw us. "Scarlett." She looked between us, confusion clear on her face. "Rhea," I stood quickly. "I'm just having a meeting about the wedding cake." "Right." She didn't look convinced. "I'll see you at the bakery later?" After she left, Celeste relaxed slightly. "Can we trust her?" "With sugar flowers, absolutely. With this?" I gestured to her phone. "I don't know yet, but what exactly are you proposing?" "I have access to more documents, proof of everything they've done. But I need someone on the outside, someone they won't suspect." She smiled grimly. "Someone they've already underestimated. You want to expose them, right before your wedding, during it." Her eyes gleamed. "When everyone who matters is there to witness it." I sat back, mind racing. "This is crazy. You're talking about taking down your own family." "They stopped being family when they started destroying other families for profit." She pulled out another phone, a burner, I realized. "I've been gathering evidence for months, but I need help getting it to the right people at the right time." "And you think the bitter ex-girlfriend is your best choice?" "I think the successful businesswoman who built herself up from nothing is my best choice." She leaned forward again. "They never saw you coming, Scarlett. Just like they never saw me coming." My coffee had gone cold. If we do this, there's no going back. You know that, right? I stopped being able to go back the day I found out what they did to that shelter. She pulled out a USB drive. Everything's here. Take it. Look through it. If you're in, text this number. As she stood to leave, I grabbed her arm. Why now? Why not expose them some other way? Because they're about to close their biggest deal yet, right after the wedding. A development project that will displace hundreds of families. She slipped on her sunglasses. We have 2 weeks to stop it. After she left, I sat there holding the USB drive, feeling its weight in my palm. My phone buzzed. A text from Ria. Everything okay? That looked intense. I stared at the message, then at the drive. Finally, I typed back. Can you come over tonight? I need your help with something. But you have to promise to keep it quiet. Of course. Should I bring wine? Bring the whole bottle. We're going to need it. I tucked the drive into my pocket and headed for the door. The same barista who had served us watched me leave. And I wondered briefly if Celeste had chosen this place because it was scheduled for renovation soon. Outside, the summer sun beat down on the cracked parking lot. My phone buzzed again, Jackson this time, probably with some passive-aggressive comment about the cake flavors. I declined the call. For years, I'd thought karma would catch up with him naturally. Now I had the chance to give it a helping hand. The question was, could I handle the consequences? As I drove back to the bakery, I remembered something my grandmother used to say. Sometimes the right thing and the hard thing are the same thing. I pulled out the burner phone Celeste had slipped me and typed, I'm in. Let's make this wedding one they'll never forget. Holy shit, Ria whispered, staring at my laptop screen. Holy actual shit. We sat in my apartment above the bakery, surrounded by empty wine glasses and printouts of Celeste's documents. The USB drive had contained even more damning evidence than I'd expected. Look at this one. I pointed to a particular spreadsheet. They bought the community center for pennies on the dollar after spreading rumors about drug activity in the area, which they started, Ria added, shuffling through papers, by paying people to hang around outside. That's diabolical. My burner phone buzzed. Celeste's message read, tomorrow, dress fitting, back entrance of boutique at 2. Are you sure about this? Ria asked, watching me type a response. If they catch you. The bell downstairs chimed. Someone entering the bakery after hours. We froze. We're closed, I called out, quickly gathering the papers. It's me. Tabitha's voice carried up the stairs. And you better have a good explanation for why you're not answering your regular phone. I opened the door to find her holding a pizza box and wearing her you're in trouble face. Okay, she said, taking in the scene. Papers everywhere. Ria looking guilty. Multiple phones on the table. What are you two up to? Close the door, I said. As we filled her in, Tabitha's expression shifted from concern to shock to something like grim determination. So let me get this straight, she said, pacing. You're going to help the bride expose her family's corruption at her own wedding, which you're catering? That's the plan. Girl, she stopped pacing. This isn't just karma anymore. This is some Ocean's 11 level stuff. I know it's risky. Risky, Ria cut in. Scarlett, these people destroyed entire communities. What if they come after you, after the bakery? My burner phone buzzed again. Celeste, bring a cake sample tomorrow. Make it look routine. They won't, I said, more confidently than I felt, because we're going to be smart about this. I pulled out a fresh piece of paper. Ria, you're the best at sugar work I know. We need a way to hide USB drives in the cake decorations. What? That's... She paused, then grabbed a pencil. Actually, I might have an idea. Those sugar flowers we were planning. We could hollow out the centers. Perfect. I turned to Tabitha. And I need you to do some digging. You're a paralegal. Can you find out which reporters might be interested in this story? Already thinking of 3 who'd kill for this scoop. She pulled out her phone. But we need to be careful how we approach them. We worked late into the night, planning every detail. Ria sketched designs for hollow sugar flowers, while Tabitha compiled a list of contacts. I practiced my cake presentation for tomorrow, making sure everything looked perfectly normal. At midnight, my regular phone rang. Jackson. Should I answer it? I asked. Put it on speaker, Tabitha said. Scarlett. His voice filled the room. We need to talk about the cake design. Some of the elements seem inappropriate for an event of this caliber. The design Celeste approved yesterday? I kept my voice neutral. The one Miranda praised. Things have changed. I'm sending you new specifications. Any changes need to come through the wedding planner, I said, reciting standard policy. You understand, of course. Everything needs to be properly documented. A pause. Right, of course. He hung up. He knows something's up, Rhea said. No, Tabitha corrected. He suspects something's up. But his ego won't let him believe his small-town ex could possibly be a threat. My burner phone buzzed one last time. Celeste. Be careful tomorrow. Sylvia's getting suspicious. I looked at my friends, then at the evidence scattered around us. Last chance to back out. This could get ugly. Rhea stood up, gathering the sketches. I'll start on those sugar flowers first thing tomorrow. I'll make those calls, Tabitha added, grabbing her coat. Just promise me you'll be careful tomorrow. After they left, I stood at my window, looking down at the quiet street below. The bakery sign cast a soft glow on the sidewalk. Sweet endings in elegant script. My phone buzzed one final time, a text from an unknown number. Watch your back, baker girl. Some things should stay buried. I took a screenshot and sent it to both Rhea and Tabitha, then typed out a message on the burner phone to Celeste. Game on. See you tomorrow. Looking at the scattered papers, I realized there was no turning back now. Tomorrow would set everything in motion. I just hoped we were ready for whatever came next. I picked up a photo from the pile. The demolished homeless shelter. Sometimes revenge isn't just about getting even. Sometimes it's about making things right. 3 days before the wedding, everything went sideways. I was in the bakery kitchen with Rhea, carefully assembling the hollow sugar flowers, when Sylvia burst through the door, unannounced. Well, she stalked around the workspace, perfectly manicured nails trailing along the counter. Quite the operation you have here. Rhea's hands trembled slightly as she continued working on a delicate rose petal. I stepped forward, blocking Sylvia's view of our work. This is a restricted area, I said firmly. Health code regulations. Oh, please. Sylvia pulled out her phone, showing me a photo. My heart stopped. It was me and Celeste at the coffee shop. Want to explain this? Discussing cake details with the bride. I kept my voice steady. That's literally my job. In some dive across town? She swiped to another photo, Celeste passing me the USB drive. Try again. The kitchen door swung open again. Celeste walked in, still in her wedding dress from the final fitting. Sylvia, her voice was ice. What are you doing here? Protecting our family. Sylvia turned to her sister. Did you really think I wouldn't figure it out? The secret meetings, the mysterious phone calls. Get out, Celeste said. No. Sylvia stepped closer. You're about to marry into one of the most powerful families in the state. I won't let you ruin everything because of some misplaced guilt over a few necessary business decisions. Necessary? Celeste laughed bitterly. Was it necessary to bribe health inspectors to shut down that daycare center? Necessary to forge documents about asbestos in the senior living facility? Rhea dropped a sugar flower, the delicate petals shattering on the floor. You should leave, I told her quietly. She nodded, gathering her things quickly. Once she was gone, Sylvia's perfectly composed mask cracked. You ungrateful little. Careful, I cut in. You're not the only one with photos. I pulled out my phone, showing her the screenshots of threatening texts I'd received. Anonymous numbers are traceable, you know. You think you can threaten me? She grabbed my phone, but I'd already backed everything up. I'll destroy your little bakery, one health code violation report, and what? Celeste stepped between us. You'll prove exactly what we're trying to expose, how our family crushes anyone who stands in their way. I'm trying to protect you. No, Celeste said softly. You're trying to protect yourself, your lifestyle, your reputation. If you do this, Sylvia's voice shook, there's no going back, no trust fund, no family connections, nothing. I know. Celeste smiled sadly. That's the point. The kitchen door opened again. This time it was Jackson. Everything okay in here? He looked between us. I heard raised voices. Everything's fine, Sylvia said, smoothly. Just a small disagreement about flower placement. Jackson's eyes narrowed. On the cake that's not even assembled yet. Jackson, Celeste touched his arm. Could you give us a minute? Sister stuff. After he left, Sylvia turned to me. You have 24 hours to back out. After that. She let the threat hang in the air. Or what? I stepped closer. You'll do to me what you did to everyone else who got in your way. Go ahead. Some things are worth losing everything for. She stormed out, the door slamming behind her. The moment she was gone, Celeste sagged against the counter. She'll tell them everything, she whispered. No, I said, pulling out my phone to text Tabitha. She won't, because that would mean admitting she knew about it all along. She's as guilty as they are. My phone buzzed. Rhea, I'm so sorry. Should I come back? Not today, I typed back. But be ready for tomorrow. Everything's moving up. Celeste watched me text. The reporters. Tabitha's contact is ready. The moment we give the signal. What about the evidence? The USB drives? I opened a cabinet, revealing a row of completed sugar flowers, each with a hollow center, ready to be placed on the cake. During setup, no one will question the bride checking the decorations one last time. Celeste touched one of the flowers gently. It's really happening. Last chance to back out, I offered. She straightened up, smoothing her wedding dress. No. Sylvia just proved exactly why we need to do this. After she left, I called Tabitha and Rhea for an emergency meeting. We had to move fast now. Sylvia might not tell her family everything, but she'd definitely try to stop us. As I waited for them to arrive, I looked at the sugar flowers we'd created, each one beautiful, delicate, and carrying enough evidence to bring down an empire. The bell above the bakery door chimed. Time to finish what we started. Wedding day. My hands were steady as I assembled the 6-tier masterpiece in the Griffin Estates Grand Ballroom. Each sugar flower contained its own digital bombshell, waiting to detonate. Everything looks perfect, Miranda gushed, circling the cake. The flowers are exquisite. Thank you. I adjusted the final tier. Is the bride ready for the final approval? Small delay upstairs. Family drama, apparently. My stomach clenched. Had Sylvia finally cracked? Rhea appeared at my elbow, carrying a box of backup flowers. Everything okay? Before I could answer, shouting erupted from the hallway. Celeste burst into the ballroom, still in her wedding robe, with Sylvia right behind her. You can't do this. Sylvia grabbed her sister's arm. Think about what you're throwing away. Let go of me. Celeste's voice was steel. She turned to Miranda. Could you give us a moment? The wedding planner hesitated, then hurried out. Rhea squeezed my hand and followed. The reporters are already here, Sylvia hissed. I saw them arriving. What did you do? Nothing yet. Celeste walked to the cake, pretending to inspect it. Her fingers brushed one of the sugar flowers. But in about 3 hours, I'll tell Jackson everything. No, you won't. I stepped forward. Because we have proof of your involvement too. Every bribe, every forged document, every campaign contribution to look the other way. The ballroom doors opened again. Chase strutted in, champagne in hand, despite the early hour. Ladies, beautiful cake, Scarlett, almost makes up for. He stopped, sensing the tension. Everything okay here? Fine, Sylvia snapped. Just discussing some last-minute details. Really? He smirked. Because it looked like... The doors burst open again. Jackson stormed in, face dark with anger, waving his phone. What the hell is this? My heart stopped. On his screen was an email, one of the documents from the USB drive. Someone just sent this to every guest. He looked between us. Something about illegal evictions and forged permits? Jackson, Celeste started. Don't. He turned to me. This was you, wasn't it? Couldn't stand seeing me happy. Actually, Celeste stepped between us. It was me. The silence that followed was deafening. What? Chase laughed nervously. Come on, Celeste. This is just some bitter ex trying to what? I cut in. To expose how your families built their fortunes? How many lives you destroyed? You don't understand business, Jackson sneered. No, you don't understand humanity. Celeste pulled out her phone. And in about 10 seconds, neither will anyone else. She pressed a button. Immediately, phones throughout the building started buzzing. The evidence was going out. All of it. You bitch. Sylvia lunged for her sister's phone. I moved without thinking, stepping between them. Sylvia's momentum carried us both into the cake table. For one horrible moment, everything tilted. The crash echoed through the ballroom. 6 tiers of cake and sugar flowers scattered across the marble floor. No, Sylvia screamed, diving for the fallen flowers. Where are they? Where are the drives? Looking for these? Rhea stood in the doorway, holding up several USB drives. Behind her, reporters and photographers pushed their way in, cameras flashing. It's over, Celeste said quietly. The evidence is already out there, all of it. Jackson grabbed my arm. You planned this, all of it. Let go of her. Tabitha's voice cut through the chaos. She stood with a police detective I recognized from her law firm. Unless you want to add assault to the list of charges. He released me, stepping back. Charges? This is ridiculous. Our lawyers will already have their hands full. The detective interrupted, holding up a warrant. We've been building this case for months. Your little wedding drama just gave us the final pieces we needed. Guests were flooding in now, phones out, recording everything. Chase tried to slip away, but was stopped by 2 uniformed officers. You can't do this, Sylvia was saying, mascara running. We're the Griffin family. We're untouchable. Not anymore. Celeste untied her wedding robe, revealing a simple dress underneath. And I'm not a Griffin anymore either. I watched as the detective began reading rights, as reporters shouted questions, as the perfect society wedding imploded spectacularly. Scarlett? Rhea touched my arm. The cake. I looked at my masterpiece, destroyed on the floor. Worth it. Besides, Tabitha grinned, snapping pictures with her phone. This is going to make one hell of a story for your bakery's social media. Through the chaos, Celeste caught my eye and nodded. We'd done it. The empire was crumbling, and all it took was some sugar flowers and the truth. As they led Chase and Sylvia away in handcuffs, Jackson turned back one last time. I hope you're happy now. I looked at the destruction around us, the ruined cake, the shocked guests, the imploding dynasty of corruption. Actually, I said, I am. The autumn breeze carried the scent of fresh paint. As I unlocked Sweet Endings' door, the sign above now read, Sweet Endings and Beginnings. My new partnership with Celeste, officially launching today. Still can't believe we're doing this, Rhea said. Arranging pastries in the display case. She'd become my head baker after the wedding scandal, proving herself invaluable. Which part? I asked. The bakery expansion, or turning the old Griffin building into a community center? Both. She straightened up, grinning. Though watching Chase's face during the sentencing was pretty unbelievable too. The bell chimed. Celeste walked in, carrying coffee and newspapers. We made the front page again. Of course we did. Tabitha followed her in, legal briefcase in hand. The Griffin-Turner corruption case is the gift that keeps on giving. Every new investigation uncovers more dirt. I spread out the newspaper on the counter. The headline read, Former Society Darling opens community center in seized family property. Your father's lawyers still fighting the asset seizure? I asked Celeste. Trying to. But it's hard to argue when there's documented proof of how they acquired the buildings. She pulled out building plans from Tabitha's briefcase. The shelter reopens next week. We've already got programs lined up for job training, childcare, everything we discussed. The bell chimed again. Miranda, the former wedding planner, walked in. Please tell me you're still catering events, she said. I have 3 clients who specifically requested the bakery that took down the griffins. We're expanding that side of the business too, I said, sharing a look with Celeste, though maybe with less drama this time. Speak for yourself. Rhea pointed through the window. Jackson was walking up to the door. We all tensed, but Tabitha just smiled. Don't worry, he can't come within 100 feet of any of you. Court orders are beautiful things. He stood outside, staring through the glass. I met his gaze steadily. Finally, he dropped an envelope in our mailbox and walked away. I'll get it, Tabitha said, returning with the envelope. It's a check for the ruined wedding cake. Little late for that, Rhea snorted. Donate it to the center, I said, turning back to the building plans. We've got real work to do. The day flew by in a blur of customers, many asking about the story behind our new partnership. Each time, Celeste told it proudly, how exposing corruption led to redemption, how a ruined wedding cake created something sweeter than revenge. As evening approached, we gathered in the kitchen for our traditional end-of-day coffee. Remember when you thought you were just catering a wedding? Tabitha teased. Remember when you thought small-town life was beneath you? I shot back at Celeste, who had traded her designer clothes for flour-dusted aprons. Best mistake I never made, she said, raising her coffee cup. To sweet endings and sweeter beginnings, Rhea added. The door chimed one last time. A young woman entered, clutching a newspaper. Are you the ones? She asked. The ones who exposed everything? We nodded. My family. We lost our home to Griffin Industries last year. But now, with the investigations, she wiped her eyes. We're getting it back. All the families are. Celeste stepped forward, taking the woman's hands. Come to the center next week. We're helping families navigate the restitution process. After she left, we stood in comfortable silence. You know, Rhea said, we never did figure out who sent that first email to the wedding guests. Tabitha smiled mysteriously. Sometimes karma needs a little push. My phone buzzed. Another interview request about the scandal. I declined it. Ready to lock up? I asked. Almost. Celeste pulled out a small box. Inside was a sugar flower, perfectly crafted. Rhea helped me make it. Thought we could keep one as a reminder. Of what? How to crash a wedding spectacularly. Of how sometimes the sweetest revenge is living well and doing good. We locked up together, the setting sun casting long shadows through our new sign. Outside, the old Griffin building was being transformed, its imposing facade softened by community artwork and welcome banners. Same time tomorrow? Rhea asked. Wouldn't miss it, I said. As they left, I looked at our reflection in the bakery window. Not just a small-town baker anymore, but someone who'd helped change things for the better. The sugar flower sat in its box, a reminder that the most beautiful things can hide the most powerful truths. I turned off the lights and stepped outside. Tomorrow would bring more work, more challenges, more chances to make things right. But for now, standing in front of my bakery, our bakery, I felt something sweeter than revenge could ever be. I felt peace.
The day I finally saved enough for my parents' dream vacation was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, it became the moment I realized just how invisible I truly was. I'm Phoebe, and I've spent the last 3 years working overtime and weekends, squirreling away every spare dollar I could manage. My parents had always talked about wanting to visit the Greek islands, especially Santorini. Those whitewashed buildings against the blue Mediterranean had been my mom's phone background for as long as I can remember. You won't believe what I've done! I burst into their house, clutching the envelope containing the vacation documents. My brother Rylan was there too, sprawled on the couch like he owned the place. Of course he was. He always seemed to be around for every important moment, whether invited or not. What's got you so excited, sweetheart? Mom asked, though her eyes kept darting to Rylan as he texted on his phone. I've been saving up for something special, I said, my heart racing. Remember all those conversations about Greece? Dad looked up from his newspaper. Greece? I pulled out the documents with trembling hands. 2 weeks in Santorini, 5-star hotel, private balcony with a sunset view, wine tasting tours. Everything you've ever dreamed about. Mom's eyes widened as she took the papers. Oh my goodness, she whispered, flipping through them. This must have cost a fortune. It did, I admitted. But you deserve it. You've both worked so hard all your lives, and I wanted to give you something special. That's when Rylan finally looked up from his phone. Wow, sis. That's actually pretty cool of you. Coming from him, it felt like a backhanded compliment, but I pushed the feeling aside. This was my moment. The thing is, Mom said slowly, exchanging glances with Dad, we were just talking about Rylan and Serena's 5th anniversary coming up. My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. They've been having such a rough time lately, Dad chimed in, with the miscarriage and all. What are you saying? I asked. Though I already knew. Mom reached across and patted my hand. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we gave this trip to them instead? They really need something to look forward to right now. The room started spinning. 3 years of overtime shifts, missed social events, and penny pinching flashed before my eyes. But I struggled to find words. I planned this for you. I saved up. And that's so thoughtful of you, honey, Mom interrupted. But Rylan and Serena could really use this right now. You understand, don't you? I looked at Rylan, who was now sitting up straight, a familiar gleam in his eyes. The same look he had when we were kids, and my parents would give him my toys because he needed them more. Seriously? Serena's voice squealed from behind me. I hadn't even noticed her come in. Oh my God, this is amazing! She rushed past me to hug my mother, then my father. The vacation documents were already being passed to her eager hands. We can't accept this, Rylan said, but his tone made it clear he absolutely could and would. It's too much. Nonsense, Dad waved him off. You kids deserve it. Phoebe understands, don't you, sweetheart? I stood there, frozen, as my carefully planned surprise was stripped away and handed to my brother like everything else in my life. The worst part wasn't even losing the vacation. It was the fact that none of them seemed to notice or care how much this hurt me. Of course, I heard myself say, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. Of course I understand. You're the best sister ever. Serena hugged me tight, her expensive perfume choking me. We'll send you lots of pictures. I watched as my family gathered around Rylan and Serena, oohing and aahing over the itinerary I'd spent months perfecting. Mom was already talking about helping Serena shop for new swimsuits, while Dad discussed the best times to book their flights. I slipped out without anyone noticing, just like I always did. But this time was different. This time, something inside me snapped. As I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white, I made a decision. For once in my life, I wasn't going to just smile and take it. For once, someone was going to notice me, and if they wouldn't give me the respect I deserved, I would take it. I pulled out my phone and opened the airline's website. It was time to make some changes to that perfect vacation I'd planned. They did what? Alexis slammed her coffee mug down so hard that several nearby customers at the cafe turned to stare. Are you kidding me right now? I shook my head, fighting back tears that had been threatening to spill since yesterday. Just handed it over like it was nothing. 3 years of saving, Alex. 3 years. And they didn't even ask you first? Just decided on their own to give your brother and his wife your gift? Alexis's face was turning red with anger. The same brother who just bought a new BMW last month? Apparently their marriage needs a boost after... I lowered my voice. You know, the miscarriage. Oh, please. Alexis rolled her eyes. I know that's terrible, but it doesn't give them the right to take what's yours. Besides, didn't Serena post those party pictures like 2 weeks ago? They seemed fine to me. I stirred my untouched latte, watching the foam swirl. Mom called this morning to ask if I could help Serena shop for vacation clothes. The audacity! Alexis leaned forward. Please tell me you said no. I told her I had to work. I managed a weak smile. Which isn't exactly a lie, since I need to start saving again. Saving? Oh, hell no, you're not doing that again. Alexis pulled out her phone. Look at this. Your brother posted about it already. She showed me Ryland's Instagram post. A picture of the vacation documents spread out on a table, with the caption, "Best anniversary surprise ever. Blessed, to Santorini. Best family ever." My hands started shaking. He didn't even mention me. Of course he didn't. Alexis took her phone back. You know what? You should cancel it. I nearly choked on my coffee. What? Cancel the whole thing. It's your reservation, your credit card, your name on everything. One phone call and poof, no more vacation. I can't do that, I protested. But even as I said it, something stirred inside me. Can I? Why not? They didn't think twice about taking it from you. Alexis leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Think about it. They're all excited, planning and shopping, and then suddenly, nothing. Let them feel what it's like to have something taken away. My phone buzzed. Another message from Mom. Serena found the cutest sundress for Greece. You should come see it. I turned my phone face down on the table. They'd know it was me. Not if you do it right. Alexis's eyes sparkled with mischief. You're smart, Phoebe. You could figure out a way. It would destroy them, I said. But I was already thinking about how to do it. Like they destroyed you? Come on, tell me you haven't thought about it. I had. God help me, I'd thought about it all night. Remember your college graduation? Alexis pressed on. When they left early because Rylan had a football game? They missed my valedictorian speech, I whispered. And your art show last year? They stayed for 10 minutes because Rylan's in-laws were having a dinner party. And now this. Alexis reached across the table and grabbed my hand. When does it stop, Phoebe? When do you stop letting them treat you like you don't matter? My phone buzzed again. This time it was Rylan. Hey sis, can you send me the confirmation numbers for everything? Want to add some extras to the reservation. Something inside me hardened. You're right, I said, standing up. I need to make a phone call. Wait, really? Alexis's eyes widened. You're going to do it? I grabbed my purse, my hands steady for the first time since yesterday. The reservation's in my name, the payment's on my card. They can't do anything without my authorization. That's my girl! Alexis grinned. What are you going to tell them? Nothing. I felt a smile spreading across my face. They'll find out when they try to check in, just like I found out about them taking my gift, without warning. You know this is going to cause drama, right? I thought about all the times I'd swallowed my hurt, all the times I'd stepped aside for Rylan, all the years of being invisible. Maybe it's time for some drama, I said, pulling out my phone. Maybe it's time they realized I'm not just their backup daughter anymore. As I walked out of the cafe, I could feel Alexis watching me with a mixture of pride and concern. My fingers were already dialing the airline's customer service number. Hello, I said when someone answered. I need to make some changes to a reservation. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to be the good sister who sacrificed everything for everyone else. This time, I was going to be the sister who fought back. Thank you for calling Paradise Travel. This is Destiny. How may I assist you today? I gripped my phone tighter, pacing around my apartment. Hi, I need to cancel a reservation for Santorini. Of course, I can help you with that. May I have the booking reference number? I rattled off the number, my heart pounding. This was it, no turning back. Though, I see the reservation, Destiny said. 2 weeks in Santorini, departing next month. Before we proceed, may I ask why you're canceling? We might be able to offer alternatives. The trip was compromised, I said carefully. I'd rather just cancel it completely. I understand. There was something in Destiny's voice, a hint of sympathy that made me wonder if she really did understand. Since you purchased our premium package with cancellation insurance, you'll receive a full refund. However, I should mention that once canceled, this specific package and pricing won't be available again due to seasonal changes. Perfect. Even if they tried to rebook, it would cost them significantly more. That's fine, I said. I just need it canceled. One moment while I process that for you. The sound of typing filled the pause. Ms. Franklin, I noticed there were some recent attempts to modify this booking. Would you like me to disregard those? My brother's extras, no doubt. Yes, please. More typing. All right, I've processed the cancellation. You should receive a confirmation email shortly, and the refund will appear on your card within 5 to 7 business days. Is there anything else I can help you with? Actually, yes. I took a deep breath. If anyone calls about this reservation, you can't discuss it with them, right? Since it's in my name? That's correct. Due to privacy policies, we can only discuss booking details with the person who made the reservation. Good. Thank you, Destiny. You've been very helpful. I hung up and immediately checked my email. There it was. The cancellation confirmation. I forwarded it to a new email account I'd created just for this purpose, then deleted it from my regular inbox. My phone buzzed with a text from Rylan. Hey, tried calling the travel agency, but they won't talk to me. What's up with that? I smiled as I typed back. Weird. Maybe try calling during business hours tomorrow? Another text came in, this time from Mom. Darling, Serena's trying to add a sunset cruise to the itinerary, but having trouble. Can you help? Sorry, in a meeting. We'll check later, I replied. I opened my laptop and logged into the new email account. Time for Phase 2. I drafted a message. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Franklin, we regret to inform you that your upcoming reservation has been canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. Please do not attempt to contact our agency as this decision is final. Best regards, Paradise Travel Customer Service. I set it to send automatically 3 days before their departure date. Just long enough to maximize the chaos. Just late enough that booking an alternative would be nearly impossible. My phone rang. Alexis. Did you do it? She asked without preamble. It's done. I sat down on my couch, suddenly exhausted. The reservation is canceled, and I've set up an anonymous email to let them know, eventually. How do you feel? I considered the question. Powerful, scared, excited, guilty. All of the above? The guilt will pass, Alexis assured me. Remember how they didn't feel guilty taking it from you? True. I watched the sunset through my window, thinking about the Santorini sunset they wouldn't be seeing. They're already having trouble with the booking. Keeps asking me to help. And you're going to... Play dumb. Tell them I'm busy. Let them figure it out themselves. That's my girl. Alexis paused. You know, you could take that refund and book yourself a nice trip somewhere. I laughed. Maybe I will. Somewhere they'd never think to go. Now you're talking. Speaking of talking, your mom just posted about helping Serena pack. Want to see? Not really, I said, but I was already opening Instagram. There they were, Mom and Serena, surrounded by expensive luggage and summer dresses, huge smiles on their faces. The caption read, Getting my beautiful daughter-in-law ready for her dream vacation. Blessed to your family first. I closed the app, a cold satisfaction settling over me. Let them plan, let them pack, let them get excited. In 3 days, they'd learn what it felt like to have something precious taken away without warning or consideration. I picked up my phone and started researching flights to Japan. Maybe it was time for my own dream vacation, one that no one could take away from me. Look what just arrived, Serena squealed, holding up a wide-brimmed sun hat at our mandatory weekly family dinner. It's perfect for those Santorini sunsets, don't you think? I stabbed at my meatloaf, forcing a smile. Beautiful. And check out these sandals, she continued, pulling a box from her oversized designer bag. They're handmade in Italy. Rylan surprised me with them yesterday. Mom beamed at my brother. You're so thoughtful, honey. I took a long sip of wine, remembering the cancellation confirmation sitting in my secret email account. 3 more days until the automated message would go out. Speaking of thoughtful, Rylan said, Phoebe, we still can't add anything to the booking. Keep getting shut down by customer service. What's up with that? All eyes turned to me. I carefully set down my wine glass. Oh, right. Sorry, I've been swamped at work. I'll look into it tomorrow. Tomorrow might be too late, Serena pouted. "We really want to book that sunset cruise before it fills up." "I'm sure it'll be fine," I said, serving myself more green beans. "Everything will work out exactly as it should." Dad cleared his throat. "You know, Princess, you seem a bit distant about all this. Are you sure you're okay with us giving the trip to your brother?" For a moment, I almost told them everything. Almost. "Of course I am," I lied smoothly. "Why wouldn't I be?" "See?" Mom patted Dad's hand. "I told you she understands. Our Phoebe always puts family first." Rylan raised his glass. "To the best sister anyone could ask for." Everyone clinked glasses while I fought the urge to throw mine across the room. Instead, I pulled out my phone under the table and logged into my anonymous email. "Has everyone seen the weather forecast for Santorini?" I asked innocently, typing as I spoke. "It's supposed to be perfect next week." "Oh, thank goodness," Serena sighed. "I was worried about that." I hit send on the email. "Dear valued customer, this is a courtesy notice that there may be issues with your upcoming travel arrangements. Please verify your booking status immediately." Rylan's phone buzzed. He pulled it out, frowning at the screen. "That's weird." "What is it?" Serena leaned over his shoulder. "Some random email about our booking." He showed it to Mom. "Probably just spam." "Better safe than sorry," I suggested. "Maybe you should call the agency again." "They won't talk to anyone but you," he reminded me. "Come on, sis. Can't you just handle it?" I shrugged. "I'll try to find time tomorrow." "You know," Mom said, "you could give them your login details. Make it easier for everyone." "Oh, I don't think that's a good idea," I said quickly. "Security concerns and all that." Serena pulled out her phone, scrolling through pictures. "Look at this villa I found on Instagram. We have to visit it while we're there." As they all huddled around her phone, oohing and aahing over Mediterranean views, I sent another anonymous email. "Warning, your travel booking may have been compromised. Immediate attention required." Rylan's phone buzzed again. This time, he looked worried. "Okay, this is getting weird. Phoebe, seriously, can you please check the reservation tonight?" "My internet's been down," I said, waiting for the company to fix it. "Use your phone," Serena suggested. "Battery's almost dead." I held up my phone, showing the 89% battery level carefully hidden by my hand. "And I forgot my charger." "You can use mine," Mom started. "Oh," I interrupted, looking at my phone. "Would you look at that time? I have an early meeting tomorrow. Should really get going." I stood up, gathering my things while they protested. "But we haven't had dessert," Mom said. "I made your favorite chocolate cake." "Rain check?" I kissed her cheek. "Save me a piece." As I headed for the door, Rylan called out, "Don't forget to check the reservation first thing tomorrow." "First thing," I promised, knowing I'd have a million excuses ready. In my car, I sent one final email. "Urgent. Please contact your travel agent immediately regarding booking status." My phone lit up with a text from Rylan. "Seriously freaking out about these emails. Call me when you get home." I typed back, "Phone dying for real now. Talk tomorrow." Turning off my phone, I drove home with a smile on my face. 2 more days of watching them squirm, watching their excitement slowly turn to anxiety. Then the final blow would come. Maybe it was cruel. Maybe it made me a terrible person. But as I remembered Serena's smug face showing off her new hat, Mom's constant doting on Rylan, and Dad's blind acceptance of it all, I couldn't bring myself to feel bad. Sometimes karma needed a little help, and I was more than happy to assist. My phone exploded with notifications at exactly 9:47 a.m. The automated email had gone out right on schedule. First came Rylan's call, then Mom's, then Serena's, then Dad's, then a flood of texts, each more frantic than the last. I let them all go to voicemail, watching the notifications pile up with a strange sense of calm. "What do you mean, canceled?" Rylan's text screamed. "Phoebe, please call immediately! Emergency!" From Mom. "This has to be a mistake. Call us now." Dad. I waited exactly 30 minutes before calling Mom back. "Phoebe," she answered on the first ring. Thank God. The trip, they're saying, Mom, slow down. What's wrong? The vacation. It's been canceled. We just got an email saying everything's canceled. Her voice cracked. Rylan and Serena are supposed to leave tomorrow? I gasped, making sure my shock sounded genuine. What? That can't be right. Let me check. We've been trying to call the agency, but they won't talk to us. They keep saying they can only discuss it with the booking holder. I'll call them right now, I promised. Let me sort this out. I hung up and waited 15 minutes before calling back. I can't get through, I lied. Their lines are busy. I'll keep trying. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Rylan and Serena standing there, both still in their pajamas. Did you reach anyone? Serena's eyes were red from crying. Please tell me you fixed it. I stepped aside to let them in. I'm trying, but... Trying isn't good enough, Rylan snapped. We're supposed to leave tomorrow. All our plans, the time off work, everything. I understand, but... Do you? He advanced on me. Do you understand that this was supposed to be our special trip? After everything we've been through? The front door opened again, Mom and Dad rushing in. Any news? Dad demanded. I shook my head. The lines are still... Oh, for heaven's sake! Mom grabbed my phone. What's the number? I'll try from your phone since you're the booking holder. Mom, wait! She was already dialing. We all watched as she put it on speaker. Thank you for calling Paradise Travel. This is Destiny. How may I assist you? My stomach dropped. The same agent from before. Yes, hello, Mom said. I'm calling about a canceled reservation for Santorini. I'll need the booking reference number and the name of the booking holder. Mom looked at me expectantly. I rattled off the numbers. The booking holder is Phoebe Franklin, Mom added. I'm sorry, Destiny said, but I can only discuss booking details with Ms. Franklin directly. I'm her mother. Nevertheless. Fine. Mom thrust the phone at me. Tell her who you are. I took the phone, my hands shaking. This is Phoebe Franklin. Hello, Ms. Franklin. Yes, I see the reservation was canceled 3 days ago at your request. As discussed during our call, the refund should be processed. What? Rylan roared. I dropped the phone. 3 days ago? Serena whispered. You canceled it? The room went deadly quiet. Phoebe! Dad's voice was dangerously low. What did you do? I straightened my spine. The same thing you did to me. I took something away without asking. Are you insane? Rylan grabbed my shoulders. Do you know how much we've spent on preparations? The time off work? The new clothes? Do you know how much I spent on the actual trip? I shot back, shrugging off his hands. 3 years of savings, 3 years of my life, and you all took it without even asking me. We thought you were okay with it, Mom cried. When did you ask? When did any of you actually ask how I felt? This is crazy, Serena sobbed. We can't just book another trip last minute. Funny, I said. That's exactly how I felt when you took mine. You selfish little... Rylan started toward me again, but Dad held him back. Fix this, Mom demanded. Call them back right now and fix this. I picked up my phone from where I'd dropped it. No. No? No? For once in my life, I'm not fixing things to make everyone else happy. For once, you all get to feel what it's like to have something taken away without your consent. I can't believe you're my sister, Rylan spat. My own sister did this to us. I looked him straight in the eye. Believe it, and remember this feeling the next time you think about taking something that belongs to someone else. They all started talking at once, yelling, crying, demanding. But for the first time in my life, their voices couldn't touch me. I walked to my front door and held it open. I think you should all leave now. This isn't over, Rylan warned as they filed out. You're right, I agreed. It's just beginning. You should see my phone, I told Alexis, as we sat in her backyard, a bottle of wine between us. 47 missed calls, 93 text messages, and those are just from today. Have you read any of them? I scrolled through my phone. Let's see. How could you do this to your own family? That's from Mom. You're dead to me. That's Rylan. Oh, and my personal favorite from Serena. I hope you're happy now that you've ruined everything. Ruined everything? Alexis snorted. They ruined your gift first. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. I declined the call. They're all at my parents' house right now, I said. Probably plotting their revenge. What could they possibly do? You didn't do anything illegal. The trip was in your name, paid for with your money. I poured more wine. Rylan's already trying to turn the extended family against me. My cousin called earlier to tell me how disappointed she is in my childish behavior. Childish. Alexis sat up straighter. You know what's childish? A grown man letting his parents take his sister's gift without even offering to pay for it. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. We need to talk. Your father and I are very disappointed in you. They're disappointed in me? I laughed bitterly. That's rich. Where was their disappointment when they took my gift without asking? You should tell them that. I did. They're not listening. They keep saying I agreed to give them the trip. Did you, though? Alexis raised an eyebrow. Actually agree? I thought back to that day. They didn't really give me a choice. They just decided, like they always do. Then maybe it's time to show them the proof. I looked at her. What do you mean? The messages, the emails. Show them how they steamrolled over you. Make them see what they did. My phone buzzed again. A group text from Mom. Family meeting tomorrow, 6 p.m. Be there. They want to have a family meeting, I told Alexis. Ah, perfect. She grinned. That's your chance. Bring receipts. Show them everything. I don't know. Phoebe. Alexis grabbed my hands. Listen to me. They're angry because for the first time in your life, you stood up to them. They're used to you being the good daughter who takes whatever they dish out. This is your chance to show them why you did what you did. My phone chimed with another message. This time from Rylan. Hope you're proud of yourself. Serena's been crying all day. Look at this. I showed Alexis the message. He's trying to guilt trip me. Of course he is. That's what they do. But you have something they don't. What's that? The truth. She squeezed my hands. You have proof of everything. The savings statements showing how long you saved. The original booking emails. The way they just took it without asking. Show them. I stared at my phone. At the dozens of angry messages. You really think it'll make a difference? Maybe, maybe not. But at least they'll know exactly why you did it. No more playing the victim. No more pretending they didn't do anything wrong. Another text from Mom. Will you be at the meeting tomorrow? I took a deep breath and typed, yes, and I'm bringing evidence of exactly why this happened. The response was immediate. Evidence? What evidence? You'll see tomorrow, I replied, then turned off my phone. There's my girl! Alexis cheered. Now let's prepare. We need to get everything organized. We spent the next few hours gathering everything. Bank statements showing my savings pattern over 3 years, screenshots of their social media posts taking credit for the trip, the original emails about the booking, and most damning of all, their messages assuming I'd just handed over. This is good, Alexis said, reviewing everything. They can't argue with this. They'll try, I said, but I felt stronger now, more certain. Let them try. The truth is right here in black and white. My hand hovered over my turned-off phone. They're probably still messaging me. Let them. Tomorrow they'll understand exactly what they did. And if they don't, Alexis shrugged, at least you'll know you stood up for yourself. I looked at the stack of evidence we'd collected. You know what? For the first time, I actually feel good about what I did. You should. You're not their doormat anymore. I raised my wine glass. To standing up for myself. To karma, Alexis clinked her glass against mine, and to finally showing your family who you really are. Tomorrow would be hard. There would be tears, accusations, guilt trips. But for once, I was ready for them. For once, I had proof of exactly why I'd done what I'd done, and this time, they were going to listen. I walked into my parents' house exactly at 6 p.m., folder of evidence clutched to my chest like armor. They were all already there, sitting around the dining room table like a jury ready to deliver a verdict. "Sit down, Phoebe," Dad said, pointing to the empty chair facing everyone. I remained standing. "Before we start, I have something to show you all." "We don't need to see anything," Rylan interrupted. "We need you to fix this. Actually, you do need to see this." I opened the folder and pulled out the first document. "This is my bank statement from 3 years ago, when I started saving for the trip." Mom tried to speak, but I held up my hand. "No. You've all had your say. Now it's my turn." I laid out more papers. Every month, I put aside money, worked overtime, skipped vacations, all to give you and Dad your dream trip. "We know all this," Serena said impatiently. "Do you? Do you know I was working 60-hour weeks while you were posting pictures from your spa weekends?" I slid her Instagram posts across the table. "Or that I canceled my own vacation plans last year to save more money while Reelene was buying his new BMW? Reelene shifted uncomfortably. "That's not relevant." "It is relevant." I slammed my hand on the table. "Because when I finally had enough saved, when I finally planned the perfect trip, you all took it without even asking me." "We didn't take it," Mom protested. "You agreed." I pulled out my phone and played the recording from that day. Their voices filled the room. "Wouldn't it be wonderful if we gave this trip to them instead? You understand, don't you?" Of course she understands. Where in that conversation did anyone ask what I wanted? I stopped the recording. Where did anyone consider my feelings? The room fell silent. "And then," I continued, pulling out more papers, "you all acted like it was your gift to give. Look at these posts, taking credit, not even mentioning me, acting like I didn't exist." Dad cleared his throat. "Sweetheart, we appreciate all your hard work, but..." "But what? But Rylan needed it more? He always needs it more." My voice cracked. "My whole life, everything I've done, everything I've achieved, it's always been overshadowed by what Rylan needs." "That's not true," Mom said weakly. "Really?" I pulled out more evidence. "My college graduation, you left early for his football game. My art show, you stayed 10 minutes because his in-laws were having dinner. Every single time he comes first." Rylan stood up. "This is ridiculous. You're acting like a child." "No!" I matched his stance. "I'm finally acting like someone who's had enough. You want to know why I canceled the trip? Because for once in my life, I wanted you all to know how it feels to have something taken away without your consent." "But the money," Serena started. "The money," I laughed. "Now you care about the money? Where was this concern when you took my gift? Did any of you offer to reimburse me?" They exchanged guilty looks. "That's what I thought." I gathered my evidence back into the folder. "You know what the worst part is? None of you even apologized. You just expected me to smile and take it, like always." "So what do you want?" Rylan demanded. "An apology? Fine, I'm sorry. Now can you rebook the trip?" "No." I shook my head. "The refund's already been processed. To my account. And you know what? I'm going to use it to take myself somewhere nice. Somewhere I've always wanted to go." "You can't do this to us," Mom pleaded. "I already did. And maybe next time you'll think twice before taking something that doesn't belong to you." "This isn't over," Rylan threatened. "Actually, it is." I headed for the door. "Oh, and by the way, I've shared all this evidence with the entire family, so they can see exactly why I did what I did." "You didn't," Serena gasped. "Check your phones." I smiled as they all scrambled for their devices. "I sent it right before I came here. No more playing the victims. No more making me look like the bad guy." The room erupted in chaos. Phones buzzing with family reactions. Mom starting to cry. Dad trying to maintain order. Rylan cursing. But for the first time in my life, I felt completely calm. I opened the front door, pausing for one last look at my family. I hope you all learned something from this," I said. "I know I did. I learned that I'm done being your backup daughter. I'm done being taken for granted. And most importantly, I'm done letting you treat me like I don't matter." I walked out, closing the door on their protests. My phone was already lighting up with messages from extended family, some supportive, some angry, all of them finally seeing the truth. For the first time in my life, I'd shown them exactly who I was. And it felt absolutely liberating. The doorbell rang as I was packing my suitcase for Japan. I opened it to find Mom standing there alone, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "Can I come in?" she asked quietly. I stepped aside, noticing the absence of her usual confident stride as she entered. "You're packing," she observed, glancing at my open suitcase. "Japan, solo trip." I folded another shirt. "Leaving tomorrow." She picked up a travel guide from my coffee table. "I didn't know you were interested in Japan." "There's a lot you don't know about me, Mom." She set the book down, her hands trembling slightly. "I know, that's why I'm here." I stopped packing and looked at her. "Your Aunt Martha called me yesterday," she continued, "after reading everything you sent to the family. She said something that kept me up all night." "What's that?" She asked me, when was the last time I attended one of your achievements without leaving early for something of Ryland's? Mom's voice cracked. I couldn't remember. I sat down on my couch, and she joined me. "Then I started thinking about all the times you were there for us," she said. "Every birthday, every anniversary, every holiday. Always with thoughtful gifts, always helping, always invisible." "Mom, no, let me finish." She pulled out her phone. "I went through my photos last night. Hundreds of pictures of Ryland's games, Serena's parties, family gatherings. But you're hardly in any of them, usually just in the background, smiling that same patient smile." Tears started rolling down her cheeks. "The vacation. When you gave it to us, I saw that smile again. I should have known. I should have seen what we were doing to you." "But you didn't," I said softly. "No, I didn't. None of us did." She reached for my hand. "Ryland's still angry about the trip. Your father thinks you went too far. But Martha was right. We went too far first. We just didn't realize it because you never fought back before." "I shouldn't have had to fight back." "No, you shouldn't have." She squeezed my hand. "I'm sorry, Phoebe. Not just for the vacation, but for everything. For every time we put Ryland first, for every time we took you for granted, for every time we made you feel less important." The apology I'd wanted for so long hung in the air between us. "What happens now?" I asked. "That's up to you. But I'd like to start over, really see you this time." She glanced at my suitcase. "Maybe you could tell me about why you chose Japan?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Dad. "Your mother's right. We need to do better. Have a wonderful trip, sweetheart. Take lots of pictures for us." Then another from Aunt Martha. "Proud of you, girl. Sometimes family needs a wake-up call." And surprisingly, one from Serena. "I was wrong. We all were. I'm sorry." Nothing from Rylan, but I hadn't expected there to be. Not yet. "I'd like to hear about Japan too," Mom said, noticing me reading the messages. "And maybe when you get back, we could plan something together? Just us?" I studied her face. The hope there, the genuine remorse, the desire to change. "I'd like that," I said finally. "But Mom, it has to be different this time. Really different." "It will be." She stood up, walking to my suitcase. "Now, tell me about your trip while you pack. I want to know everything you're planning to see." As I told her about the temples I wanted to visit, the food I wanted to try, the places I wanted to explore, I saw something I'd never seen before. My mother really listening, really seeing me. My phone buzzed again. This time from Rylan. "I'm still mad, but I get it. Have a good trip, sis." It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a fairy tale ending where everyone suddenly became the perfect family. But it was real. It was a start. I showed Mom the beautiful ryokan I'd booked in Kyoto, and she gasped at the photos of the traditional Japanese inn. "This is amazing," she said. "You're going to have such an adventure." "Yeah," I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. "I am. Sometimes it takes breaking something to fix it properly. Sometimes you have to shatter the old patterns to create new ones. And sometimes, standing up for yourself isn't just about winning or losing. It's about being seen, really seen, for the first time. I packed the last item in my suitcase, a new camera to document my journey. This time, I wouldn't be in the background of the photos. This time, I'd be the star of my own story.
The text message from my bank should have been my first clue that something was terribly wrong. Unusual activity detected on your account. But I was too busy at work, drowning in spreadsheets and client meetings, to give it more than a cursory glance. My name is Gemma, and that message marked the beginning of the end of my old life, and the start of something I never thought I was capable of. Hey, you okay? Tiffany poked her head into my office cubicle. You look like you've seen a ghost. I stared at my phone, my hands shaking. My account, it's empty, every penny. My savings, my emergency fund, everything. What? How is that possible? Tiffany pulled up a chair, her face etched with concern. Mom, I whispered, the realization hitting me like a punch to the gut. She must have gotten access somehow. The joint account we opened when I was in college. I never closed it. Call her, Tiffany urged, squeezing my shoulder. I did. The call went straight to voicemail. Again. And again. I have to go home, I said, grabbing my purse. Something's not right. The drive home was a blur. When I pulled into the driveway of our family house, I noticed Mum's car was gone. The front door was locked, but everything inside looked normal. At first. Then I saw the note on the kitchen counter, written in her flowing handwriting. Dearest Gemma, by the time you read this, I'll be overseas. I'm sorry, but I needed a fresh start. You'll understand someday. Love, Mom. I crumpled the note in my fist, tears burning my eyes. Understand, understand, I screamed at the empty house. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hello, is this Gemma Myers? A man's voice asked. Yes, who's this? Felix Anderson, your grandmother Talia's attorney. I've been trying to reach you. I'm sorry to inform you that your grandmother passed away last week. The room spun. Grandma Talia, the only person who ever stood up to Mom, who taught me to be strong. Gone. There are some urgent matters regarding her estate that we need to discuss, Felix continued. Would you be able to come to my office tomorrow? Yes, I can do that. After hanging up, I sank to the kitchen floor, hugging my knees to my chest. A shadow fell across me. I came as soon as I could, Gideon said, crouching beside me. My old high school friend, always there when I needed him. Tiffany called. Said you might need backup. She took everything, Gid. Every cent I had. My voice cracked. And now Grandma Talia's gone too. He sat next to me, our shoulders touching. Remember when your mum convinced you to skip college and join her business venture instead? And Talia was the one who stepped in. I nodded, wiping my eyes. Paid for my first semester herself. Told me to never let anyone steal my dreams. Your mum's been playing these games your whole life, Gem. The guilt trips, the manipulation, the borrowed money that never got repaid. I thought she'd changed, I whispered. She seemed different lately, more stable. We were finally building a real relationship. My phone buzzed again, a text from Devon at work. Hey, your mum just emailed the office saying you're taking a leave of absence for a family emergency. Everything okay? Oh my God. I showed Gideon the message. She's covering her tracks, making sure no one questions why I might not be around for a few days. She planned this, Gideon said, his voice hard. All of it, getting close to you again, gaining your trust, just so she could clean me out. The numbness was wearing off, replaced by something darker, something that scared me a little. What are you thinking? Gideon asked, studying my face. I stood up, straightening my shoulders. I'm thinking about what Grandma Talia always said. Sometimes the best revenge is letting karma do its job. But you know what? Maybe karma needs a little help sometimes. Gem. No, listen. Tomorrow I'm meeting with Grandma's lawyer. Whatever she left me in her will, it's a start. Mum thinks she's won. She has no idea what's coming. Gideon stood too, concern written across his features. Just be careful. Revenge has a way of changing people. I'm already changed, I said, looking around the house that held so many memories of manipulation and lies. And maybe that's exactly what I needed. My phone buzzed one final time. Another bank alert. Mum had just used my card at an airport in Singapore. Game on, Mother. Game on. Felix's office felt too warm, despite the autumn chill outside. I fidgeted in the leather chair, watching him sort through a stack of documents. Before we begin, he said, adjusting his glasses, I want to express my condolences. Talia was more than just a client to me. She was a dear friend. Thank you, I managed, my throat tight. I still can't believe she's gone. She spoke of you often. Felix pulled out a thick envelope. In fact, you were her primary concern during our last meeting. The door opened, and Tiffany slipped in, mouthing, "Sorry I'm late," as she took the seat beside me. I'd asked her to come for moral support, knowing I couldn't face this alone. As you know, Felix continued, your grandmother was a shrewd businesswoman. The boutique hotel chain she built is now valued at approximately $12 million. My head snapped up. $12 million? And that's just the hotels. He slid a document across the desk. There's also her personal estate, investment portfolio, and various properties. Tiffany grabbed my hand under the desk as Felix laid out the details. The numbers made my head spin. She left everything to you, Gemma. Every asset, every property, every penny. But what about Mum? The words tumbled out before I could stop them. Felix's expression hardened. Talia was explicit about Elizabeth's exclusion from the will. She said, and I quote, "My daughter has taken enough." A laugh bubbled up in my throat, slightly hysterical. Mum's going to lose it when she finds out. She already knows, Felix said quietly. She's been calling my office daily, threatening to contest the will. From Singapore, I muttered. How convenient. There's something else. Felix reached into his desk drawer. Talia left this for you, said I should give it to you privately. He handed me an old leather journal. Inside, Grandma's familiar handwriting filled the pages. I'll give you a moment, Felix said, standing. Tiffany, would you mind helping me gather some paperwork from the other room? Once they left, I opened the journal to a marked page. My dearest Gemma, if you're reading this, I'm gone. But I've watched you grow into a strong, capable woman, despite Elizabeth's best efforts to keep you dependent on her. The fortune I've left you isn't just money, it's freedom. Use it wisely. And remember, sometimes the best way to deal with a snake is to let it think it's winning, until it can't escape the trap it set for itself. All my love, Grandma Talia. My hands trembled as I closed the journal. The door opened, and Tiffany returned alone. You okay? She asked, sitting beside me. She knew, I whispered. Somehow Grandma knew Mum would try something like this. What are you thinking? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with a notification. An email from Mom. Darling, I know you must be upset, but I had no choice. The opportunity was too good to pass up. Once my investment pays off, I'll pay you back double, I promise. And I heard about your grandmother. I'm so sorry. We should talk about the will. Call me? Love, Mom. She's unbelievable, Tiffany breathed, reading over my shoulder. She steals your money and still thinks she deserves part of the inheritance. I stood up, pacing the office. You know what's crazy? Part of me still wants to believe her. That's how good she is. Even now, she almost has me convinced. So what's the play? A plan was forming in my mind, crystal clear and terrifying. We let her think she's winning. Tell Felix to let it slip that I'm considering sharing the inheritance. Gemma, Mom wants to come home. Fine, let's give her something to come home to. I picked up Grandma's journal. A trap of her own making. Felix returned with a stack of papers. Ready to sign the transfer documents? Actually, I said, sitting down, I have some questions about property management. Specifically, about making someone think they have access to assets they don't actually control. Felix raised an eyebrow. I assume this has something to do with Elizabeth. Let's just say I'm taking Grandma's advice about handling snakes. As I signed document after document, I felt something shift inside me. The hurt, betrayed daughter was fading, replaced by someone stronger, someone who'd learned from the best about how to play the long game. One more thing, Felix said as we finished. Your grandmother left instructions about the master suite at the main house. Said you'd know what to do with it when the time came. I smiled, remembering the room Mum had always coveted but Grandma never let her use. Oh, I know exactly what to do with it. Mum's going to love it, right up until she doesn't. You're going to let her stay in the master suite? Tiffany nearly choked on her coffee. We were sitting in my new office, at the hotel's headquarters, surrounded by boxes I hadn't unpacked yet. The same woman who just cleaned out your bank account. That's exactly why it's perfect. I pulled up the security camera feed on my laptop, showing the luxurious room. Grandma had cameras installed everywhere after Mom's last attempt to borrow her jewelry. Devious, Tiffany grinned. I like it. A knock at the door interrupted us. Gideon walked in, carrying a stack of files. Your mother's been busy, he said, dropping them on my desk. I had my friend at the bank pull her transaction history. I flipped through the papers, my jaw tightening. First-class tickets, luxury hotels, shopping sprees. She's burning through my savings like it's nothing. There's more, Gideon said, pointing to a highlighted entry. She's been making calls to real estate agents here in town. She's planning to come back. Sooner than you think, I said, turning my laptop around to show them an email I'd just received. Dearest Gemma, I've had time to think about my actions, and I realize I've made terrible mistakes. I'm coming home next week. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I hope we can talk. I heard you've inherited Talia's estate. Perhaps we could discuss it over dinner. Love, Mom. Wow, Tiffany said. She's not even trying to hide her intentions. Perfect. I opened my calendar. Time to set the stage. Gideon, can you help me with something? He raised an eyebrow. Depends. Is it legal? Mostly. I smiled. I need you to pick Mom up from the airport next week. Make it seem like I'm too busy with the hotels to come myself. And then bring her to the house, Tiffany caught on, where everything will be set up just the way she expects. Rich daughter, ready to be manipulated again. Exactly. I pulled out Grandma's journal. But first, we need to make some changes to the master suite. Over the next week, we transformed the room into a perfect trap. Every luxury item was catalogued and photographed. Every drawer had a hidden camera. Every safe was rigged to record when it was opened. The tracking software is installed, Devon announced, closing his laptop. I'd brought him in for his IT expertise, swearing him to secrecy. Any email she sends or receives from the house network will be forwarded to you. You're scary good at this, Gideon observed, watching me arrange expensive-looking costume jewelry in the suite safe. I learned from the best, I said, thinking of all the times I'd watched Mom manipulate people. She taught me everything I know about deception. Time to show her what a good student I've been. My phone buzzed. A text from Felix. Elizabeth's lawyer called. She's withdrawing her challenge to the will. Of course she is, Tiffany said, reading over my shoulder. Why fight for crumbs when she thinks she can get the whole cake? That evening, as we finished the preparations, Gideon pulled me aside. Are you sure about this? It's not too late to back out. I looked around the room that would become Mom's gilded cage. You know what she said when I got into college? Why waste time studying when you could be helping me with my business? She convinced me to give her my tuition money. If Grandma hadn't stepped in... I remember, he said softly. You were a mess that year. She's never faced consequences, Gid. Not real ones. She just moves on to her next target, her next scheme. Not this time. My phone chimed with a flight confirmation. Mom would land tomorrow morning. Places everyone, I announced. Time for the final touches. We worked late into the night, setting up the last details. A closet full of designer clothes, all tagged with security sensors, a jewelry box filled with pieces that would test her self-control, bank statements accidentally left visible on the desk, showing accounts she'd never be able to access. One last thing, I said, placing Grandma's old silver mirror on the vanity. Mom had always coveted it, tried to steal it twice. Now it would serve as the perfect bait. As everyone left, Tiffany hugged me tight. You know she's going to try to turn this around on you, right? Make you feel guilty. I'm counting on it. I locked the suite door. That's how I know the plan will work. Mom can't resist playing the victim, right up until she goes for the kill. Later, alone in my apartment, I watched the security feeds one last time. Everything was perfect, every detail calculated to appeal to Mom's greed and manipulation. Game on, Mother, I whispered to the empty room. Let's see how you like being the one who's played. I watched through the security feed as Gideon's car pulled into the driveway. Mom stepped out, looking exactly as I remembered. Designer sunglasses, perfectly styled hair, and an expression of practiced remorse. Showtime, I muttered, heading downstairs to meet her. The front door opened. Gemma, darling. Mom rushed forward, arms outstretched. She smelled of expensive perfume and false promises. I let her hug me, keeping my arms loose at my sides. Welcome back, Mom. Oh, sweetheart, I've missed you so much. She pulled back, tears glistening. I know what I did was unforgivable, but I was desperate. If you'll just let me explain. Not now, I cut her off, watching Gideon bring in her luggage. You must be tired from your flight. Let me show you to your room. Her eyes lit up as we climbed the stairs. The master suite, but that was always Talia's. It's mine now, I said, unlocking the door, and I want you to have it. Mom stepped inside, her mask slipping for a moment as she took in the opulent surroundings. The antique furniture, the silk drapes, the gleaming vanity with Grandma's silver mirror. It's perfect, she breathed, running her fingers along the mahogany dresser. Just perfect. There's more. I opened the walk-in closet. I had some clothes brought in for you, and the safe is stocked with jewelry you can borrow for special occasions. Her eyes darted to the safe, then back to me. You're too generous, darling. After everything I've done. Family is family, I said, the words tasting bitter. Besides, Grandma would have wanted us to reconcile. About the inheritance, Mum started, sitting on the plush bed. I know I have no right to ask, but... Let's discuss it over dinner, I interrupted. I have a meeting now, but I'll be back around 7. The house is yours. Make yourself at home. As I turned to leave, she caught my hand. Gemma, wait. I really am sorry. About the money, about everything. I'll make it right, I promise. I squeezed her hand, remembering all the other promises she'd made and broken. I know you will, Mom. I know you will. Downstairs, Gideon was waiting by his car. She bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. I pulled out my phone, opening the security app. Mom was already exploring the room, examining everything. Look, she's testing the safe's combination. Subtle, he snorted. Want me to stick around? No, go, but keep your phone on. Phase 2 starts tonight. Back at my office, Tiffany and Devin were monitoring the feeds. She's been in and out of that safe 6 times, Devin reported, and she's already tried to access your email on the laptop we left in the room. Any calls? I asked, settling behind my desk. 3, Tiffany said. All to her old real estate agent. Looks like she's planning to stay. Perfect. I pulled up the fake bank statements we'd prepared. Time to give her something to really think about. Send these to the printer in her room. We watched as the printer whirred to life. Mom practically pounced on the documents, her eyes widening as she read the figures. God, she's not even trying to hide her greed, Tiffany muttered. She thinks she doesn't have to, I said. In her mind, I'm still that naive girl who handed over her college fund. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Darling, could we move dinner earlier? There's so much I want to discuss. Here we go, I said, showing them the message. Everyone ready for phase 2? Devin grinned, pulling up the surveillance software. Cameras rolling, audio crystal clear. Your move, boss. I texted back, "Of course, Mum. 5:30 at the house? I'll bring takeout." Her response was immediate. "Perfect. And darling, thank you for giving me another chance. You won't regret it." "Oh, but you will," I whispered, watching her preen in front of Grandma's mirror. "You definitely will." "Gemma," Gideon's voice was soft, "you still have time to stop this." I thought of my empty bank account, of years of manipulation and lies, of Grandma's words in her journal, "Let it think it's winning." "No," I said, straightening my shoulders. "She needs to learn. Sometimes the hardest lessons come from the people we've hurt the most." On the screen, Mum was already plotting her next move, unaware that every gesture, every word, every scheme was being recorded. The trap was set, and she'd walked right into it. Dinner would be interesting indeed. The dining room felt smaller with Mom sitting across from me, picking at her pad thai. She'd changed into one of the designer outfits from the closet, a silk blouse that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. "The hotels are doing so well," she said, casually steering the conversation where she wanted it. "Talia always had a gift for business. Like mother, like daughter, I suppose." "Like grandmother, like granddaughter," I corrected, watching her face tighten for a split second. "Of course, darling. Though, I did learn quite a bit about hotel management during my time abroad. If you ever need help..." My phone buzzed, a text from Devin. She's been Googling how to transfer property titles between family members. "Actually," I said, setting down my fork, "I could use your help with something. The Richardson account needs attention, and I'm swamped." Mum's eyes lit up. "The Richardson account?" "One of our biggest clients. The paperwork's in my study. Want to take a look?" She practically jumped from her chair. "Lead the way, darling." In the study, I pulled up fake financial documents on my laptop. Mom leaned over my shoulder, her perfume almost suffocating. "See these figures?" I pointed to inflated numbers. "They're interested in expanding their partnership." "Fascinating," she breathed, already calculating percentages in her head. With my experience..." A crash from upstairs interrupted her. We both looked up. "Probably just the wind," I said, hiding my smile. "Right on schedule, Gideon. I should check my window," Mom said quickly. "I think I left it open." "Of course, take your time." The moment she left, I pulled up the security feed on my phone. Mom rushed into the master suite, making a beeline for Grandma's silver mirror. She ran her hands along the frame, finding the hidden compartment we'd planted. "Got you," I whispered as she pulled out the fake documents we'd stashed there. Confidential hotel contracts, showing massive upcoming deals. My phone buzzed again. Tiffany this time. "Your mother just tried to email photos of the contracts to someone. Caught in our filter." "Perfect." Mum returned looking flushed but triumphant. "Everything's fine upstairs. Now about the Richardson account." "Actually, I'm feeling tired." I faked a yawn. "Rain check." "Of course, darling. You work too hard." She kissed my cheek. "I think I'll make some calls. Catch up with old friends." "Old friends like Marcus?" I asked innocently, naming her former partner in crime. She froze for a microsecond. "I haven't spoken to Marcus in years." "Funny because he called the office today. Something about a business proposition." Mum's mask slipped slightly. "Did he? Well, I'm sure it's nothing important." Later that night in my apartment, I watched the security feeds with Gideon. Mum was making call after call, her excitement barely contained. "She's already trying to set up meetings with potential investors," Gideon said, scrolling through her intercepted emails, "using the fake contracts as bait. Just like she did in Singapore." I leaned back, exhausted. "Same script, different players." "Gemma," Gideon touched my arm. "I saw how you flinched when she hugged you. This is taking a toll." "I'm fine." "No, you're not. You're turning into her." The words hit like a slap. "I am nothing like her." "No. Setting elaborate traps. Playing mind games. What happens when this is over?" "She needs to learn." "But at what cost to you?" He turned my chair to face him. "I've known you since high school, Gem. This isn't you." Before I could respond, My phone lit up with an alert. Mom was in the study trying to access my computer. "I have to go," I said, standing. "Gemma, wait." Gideon caught my hand. "Just remember who you are. Don't let revenge change that." I pulled away, but his words followed me down to my car. On the drive to the house, I thought about Grandma's journal, about karma and consequences. Mom was back in her room when I arrived, looking innocent as a lamb. But the security logs told a different story. Attempted computer access, photographed documents, suspicious phone calls. "Everything okay?" she called out as I passed her door. "Perfect," I replied, thinking of the trap closing around her, step by step. "Everything's just perfect." But later, lying in bed, Gideon's words echoed in my head. "This isn't you." Maybe not. But then again, maybe this was exactly who I needed to be to finally break free from her web of manipulation. Tomorrow would bring phase 3, and then we'd see who had learned the better lessons about deception. "She's meeting with investors today," Devon announced, bursting into my office. 3 of them, at the Blue Lotus restaurant. I glanced at my watch. "Right on schedule. Is everything set up?" "Tiffany's already there with the hidden camera." And guess who else showed up? He slid his phone across my desk, showing security footage from the restaurant's entrance. "Your old friend Marcus." My stomach tightened at the sight of Mom's former partner, the man who'd helped her con so many people before. "She's really getting the band back together." "Want me to call it off?" Devon asked. "This is getting serious." "No." I stood up, grabbing my coat. "This is exactly what we need. Send me the live feed." The Blue Lotus was packed when I arrived, but I spotted Mom immediately at a corner table, holding court with 4 well-dressed people. Marcus sat beside her, looking exactly as sleazy as I remembered. "Table for 1?" the hostess asked. "Actually, I'm meeting someone." I headed toward the bar where Tiffany sat nursing a martini, her phone propped up to record the meeting. "You won't believe what they're promising these people," she whispered as I slid onto the stool beside her. 5-star hotels at 3-star prices, guaranteed returns of 30%. "Just like Singapore," I muttered, watching Mom gesture enthusiastically. "Same scam, different country." My phone buzzed. "Gideon." "Are you sure about this? It's not too late to stop." I ignored the message, focusing on Mom's table. One of the investors was already pulling out his checkbook. "Now," I said to Tiffany. She pressed a button on her phone. Across the restaurant, Mom's phone rang. She excused herself and stepped away from the table. "Hello," she answered. "Mrs. Myers?" Tiffany disguised her voice perfectly. "This is Sandra from First National Bank's fraud department. We're calling about some suspicious transactions." I watched Mom's face pale as Tiffany spun her tale about investigations and frozen accounts. By the time she hung up, her hands were shaking. "Showtime," I whispered, standing up. "Gemma." Mom's voice pitched higher when she saw me approaching. "What a surprise. I was just having lunch with some old friends." "Old friends like Marcus?" I smiled coldly. "The same Marcus who helped you run investment scams in 3 states." The investors at the table stopped talking, looking between us. "Darling, you're confused," Mom laughed nervously. "We were just discussing some potential business opportunities, like the fake contracts you stole from my study." I pulled out my phone, showing the security footage of her photographing documents. "Or maybe the forged signatures you've been practicing." Marcus stood up quickly. "I should go." "Sit down," I snapped. "You're going to want to hear this too." The restaurant had grown quiet, other diners watching the drama unfold. Mom's perfect mask was cracking. "These people deserve to know who they're really dealing with," I continued, my voice carrying. "Should I tell them about Singapore, about the millions you stole, or about how you cleaned out your own daughter's bank account just last week?" "That's not. I was going to pay it back," Mom stammered. "Like you paid back the others. The families you destroyed, the lives you ruined." One of the investors stood up, gathering his papers. "I think we're done here." "Wait!" Mom grabbed his arm. "I can explain everything." But they were already leaving, muttering about calling their lawyers. Marcus tried to slip away, but Tiffany blocked his path. "The police would love to chat with you too," she said sweetly. "They're right outside." Mum collapsed into her chair, her carefully constructed world crumbling. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would you do this to me? Why?" I leaned close, letting her see all the years of pain and betrayal in my eyes. "Because you taught me well, Mother. You taught me that family means nothing when there's money to be made. You taught me that trust is just another tool for manipulation." "I'm your mother." "No," I cut her off. "You're a con artist who happened to give birth to me. And now everyone knows it." As if on cue, 2 police officers entered the restaurant. Mum's eyes darted around, looking for escape routes. "Don't worry," I said, stepping back. "They're not here for you. Yet. Consider this a preview of coming attractions." I turned to leave, but her voice stopped me. "I really was going to pay you back this time," she said softly. "I really was trying to change." For a moment I almost believed her. Almost fell for the trembling lip, the tears, the perfect performance of a repentant mother. Almost. "Goodbye, Mom," I said, walking away. "Enjoy the master suite while you can. The real show hasn't even started yet." The security feed showed Mom pacing in the master suite, making frantic phone calls. It had been 3 days since the restaurant incident, and her world was collapsing piece by piece. "Another investor filed a police report," Tiffany announced, walking into my office. "That makes 4. "And Marcus?" I asked, not looking away from the screen, singing like a canary. Turns out he kept records of everything, including Singapore. My phone lit up with Mum's 20th call attempt of the day. This time I answered. "Gemma, please," she started, her voice cracking. "We need to talk." "Come to my office, 1 hour." I hung up and texted Gideon. "It's time." Mum arrived exactly on time, wearing the same designer outfit from her first day back. But now it looked rumpled, like she'd slept in it. "Sit," I said, gesturing to the chair across from my desk. "Darling, I know you're angry." "Angry?" I laughed, pulling out a folder. "Let's talk about angry. Here's a statement from your Singapore victims. A family of 5 who lost everything. The father had a heart attack when he discovered what you'd done." She flinched. "I didn't know. Or how about this?" I pulled out another document. The elderly couple in Miami who had to sell their home. Or the single mom in Chicago who lost her children's college fund. "Stop," she whispered. "Why? Isn't this what you wanted to discuss? Your greatest hits?" I spread the papers across the desk. "And let's not forget your latest masterpiece, stealing from your own daughter." I was desperate. The investment opportunity was a scam, I finished. "Just like everything else in your life." She stood up, pacing. "What do you want from me, Gemma? An apology? Fine, I'm sorry for everything." "No, you're sorry you got caught." I pressed a button on my phone, and the office TV flickered to life, showing security footage from the master suite. "Sorry I recorded every phone call, every meeting, every attempt to set up new cons." Mum's face went white. You've been watching me, learning from the best," I smiled. "Isn't that what you always wanted? For me to follow in your footsteps?" "The police already have copies of everything, along with statements from your old victims, Marcus's records, and evidence of your latest attempted scams." She collapsed back into the chair. "Why? I'm your mother." "Exactly. You were supposed to protect me, nurture me. Instead, you taught me that love is just another tool for manipulation." I stood up, walking around the desk. "But Grandma taught me something too. About karma, about consequences." "What are you going to do?" I handed her an envelope. Inside is a one-way ticket to a small town in Montana. There's also enough money for 6 months' rent on a modest apartment. "Montana?" She looked horrified. "But my life is here. Your life of cons is over. Take the ticket, disappear, start fresh, or don't, and I'll release everything to the media. Your choice." "You wouldn't." I pulled out my phone, showing her the draft email to every major news outlet. "Try me." Tears rolled down her face, real ones this time, not the calculated drop she usually deployed. I really did love you in my own way. I know. That's why I'm giving you a chance to walk away, more than you gave your other victims. The office door opened and Gideon walked in. Car's ready. Mum looked between us, clutching the envelope. When? Now. Gideon will drive you to the airport. She stood shakily, then reached for her designer purse. That stays, I said, along with everything else from the master suite. You start fresh, or not at all. For a moment I saw the real her, the scared woman behind the confident facade. She stepped toward me, arms raising for a hug, but I stepped back. Goodbye, Mum. She nodded once, tears still falling, and followed Gideon out. Tiffany came in after they left, holding 2 glasses of wine. You okay? I took a glass, watching through the window as Gideon's car pulled away. Did I just become her, using her own tricks against her? No, Tiffany said firmly. You gave her a chance to start over. That's more than she ever gave anyone else. My phone buzzed, a text from Gideon. She's in the car, still crying, real tears. It's really over, I whispered. Not quite, Tiffany said, pulling out Grandma's journal. There's still one more page you haven't read. I opened it to the marked page, seeing Grandma's familiar handwriting one last time. Remember, my dear, revenge might satisfy for a moment, but forgiveness liberates forever. The choice is yours. I closed the journal, thinking about Mum's tears, about karma and consequences, about the thin line between justice and vengeance. The choice was mine, but what would I choose? The small cafe in Montana looked exactly like it did in the surveillance photos. Through the window, I watched Mum wipe down tables, her designer clothes replaced by a simple black uniform. You sure about this? Gideon asked from the driver's seat. No, I admitted, but Grandma was right about forgiveness, even if Mom doesn't deserve it. Want me to come in? I shook my head. This is something I need to do alone. The bell chimed as I entered. Mum's back was to me as she restocked sugar packets. We're closing in 10 minutes, she said without turning around. Hello, Mom. She froze, then slowly turned. Gone was the perfect makeup, the calculated charm. She looked real. Gemma, her voice cracked. How did you find you? I never lost you. I sat at the counter. Coffee, please. Black. Her hands shook as she poured the cup. Are you here to check if I'm running cons again? No. The weekly reports from the private investigator do that. I took a sip. I'm here because of this. I pulled out an envelope and slid it across the counter. Inside were dozens of letters, all addressed to me, all returned unopened. You got them, she whispered, all 23. I just couldn't read them. Until yesterday. Mum gripped the counter. And I believe you, about wanting to change, about being sorry. I pulled out another envelope. So I brought you something. She opened it carefully, gasping when she saw the contents. Grandma's silver mirror. The real one this time, not the replica from the master suite. Why? Because healing has to start somewhere. I met her eyes. But there are conditions. She sat down heavily. Of course. First, you stay here. Keep working. Keep building an honest life. I pulled out a folder. Second, you help me make things right with your victims, starting with the family in Singapore. How? I've set up a restitution fund from the hotel profits. You'll contribute 20% of your salary. It won't fix everything, but it's a start. Tears welled in her eyes. Genuine ones, like at the office that day. And what about us? That's the third condition. I took a deep breath. Complete honesty. No more cons, no more manipulation. Just truth. Even if it hurts. Especially then. She touched the mirror gently. Did I ever tell you why I started running cons? No. Your father. She paused. He left us with nothing. I was 22, with a baby and empty bank accounts. I promised myself no one would ever make me feel that helpless again. So you made others feel helpless instead. She flinched. Yes, and somewhere along the way I forgot the difference between protecting myself and hurting others, including you. The cafe's lights flickered. Closing time. I have to go, I said, standing, but I'll be back next month, if you want. To check on me. To have coffee. To talk. To try. She came around the counter, stopping just short of reaching for me. I don't deserve a second chance. No, I agreed, but I deserve the chance to heal, and maybe this is how it starts. I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Mom, happy birthday. Her hand flew to her mouth. You remembered. I remember everything. The good and the bad. That's what makes this so hard, and so important. Outside, Gideon was waiting. How'd it go? I looked back through the window. Mom was holding Grandma's mirror, crying quietly. She's different, I said. Really different. People can change, he said softly, if they want to badly enough. My phone buzzed. A text from Tiffany. Did you give her the mirror? Yes, I typed back. And maybe something more important, a chance. As we drove away, I thought about Grandma's last words in her journal. About karma and consequences, yes, but also about choice. About choosing to break cycles instead of perpetuating them. You know, Gideon said as we hit the highway, your grandmother would be proud of sending Mum into exile, of giving her a path to redemption. That's more than she gave herself. I touched my pocket, feeling the single letter I'd kept, Mum's latest one, describing her first honest paycheck, her small apartment, her attempts to make amends. Maybe revenge wasn't about destroying someone. Maybe sometimes it was about forcing them to face themselves, to change, to grow. And maybe, just maybe, that change could heal us both. Let's go home, I said, watching the cafe disappear in the rearview mirror. We've got work to do. The restitution fund wouldn't build itself, and somewhere in Singapore, a family was about to receive an unexpected letter of apology, along with the first of many payments toward making things right. It wasn't a perfect ending, but it was a beginning.
The crystal champagne flute trembled in my hand as I watched my mother-in-law's lips curl into that familiar smirk. 7 years of marriage to her precious son, and I still couldn't shake the chill that ran down my spine whenever she looked at me that way. My name is Jennifer, and I've spent nearly a decade being the family disappointment, the woman who dared marry into the illustrious Willis family without the proper pedigree or bank account to match. I simply can't wait for next month's anniversary party, Yvonne announced, swirling her wine with practiced elegance. I have the most wonderful surprise planned. The dining room fell silent. Even the gentle clink of sterling silver against fine china seemed to hold its breath. I caught my husband Landon's questioning glance from across the table, but he quickly looked away. He always looked away. Mother, we agreed no surprises this year, Landon said, his voice carrying that slight tremor it always did when he confronted her. Jennifer and I wanted something simple. Yvonne's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. Oh, darling, nothing about our family is simple. You know that. Her eyes locked onto mine. Isn't that right, Jennifer? I forced a smile. Of course, Yvonne. Though sometimes simple can be refreshing. Max, the family's CEO, cleared his throat. Speaking of refreshing, the quarterly numbers are looking exceptional. Jennifer, I noticed the marketing suggestions you sent over actually. Now, Yvonne cut in. Let's not bore everyone with business talk. Besides, I'm sure Jennifer has enough on her plate managing the household. She paused, eyeing my barely touched plate. Though perhaps not as well as one might hope. Hope, my best friend and tonight's invited guest, shifted uncomfortably beside me. Under the table, she squeezed my hand, our secret signal that I needed to keep my cool. Actually, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. I've been quite busy with several personal projects. How lovely, Yvonne cooed. It's so important to have hobbies. Speaking of which, you remember Chelsea, don't you? Maxwell's niece? She's doing remarkable things in corporate law now. She'll be attending the anniversary party. The way she emphasized Chelsea's name made my stomach turn. I'd met her once. Young, beautiful, and exactly the kind of woman Yvonne had always wanted for her son. Chelsea. Landon frowned. I haven't seen her since we were kids. Oh, she's grown into quite the accomplished woman. Yvonne beamed. Harvard Law, summer home in the Hamptons, family money, of course. The kind of connections that could really benefit our family's future. I set down my glass before I could crush it. The party is to celebrate our marriage, Yvonne. 7 years of it. Yes, 7 long years, she mused, dabbing her lips with her napkin. Time does have a way of clarifying things, doesn't it? Hope cleared her throat. Jennifer, didn't you want to show me that painting in the study? The new one? I grabbed the lifeline. Yes, actually. Would you all excuse us for a moment? We barely made it to the study before Hope spun around. She's planning something big. I know. I sank into the leather armchair, my hands shaking. The way she kept talking about Chelsea, about the future, you have to tell Landon about your plan. Hope insisted, before this party, before whatever she's plotting. I shook my head. Not yet. The acquisition isn't final. If word gets out too soon... Jen, she's trying to replace you, with some corporate Barbie who probably color codes her sock drawer. Let her try. I stood up, smoothing my dress. Everything's already in motion. In exactly 4 weeks, Yvonne Willis is going to learn what it feels like to be the one without power. Hope's eyes widened. You're really going through with it? You know what she said to me last Christmas? That I should be grateful they let me marry Landon at all? That some people just aren't meant for certain circles. I walked to the window, watching the city lights flicker below. Well, I'm about to buy my way into every circle she holds dear. Jennifer? Landon's voice carried from the hallway. Mother's asking for us. I turned to Hope, my jaw set. Time to go back to playing the dutiful daughter-in-law. For now. As we walked back to the dining room, Yvonne's voice drifted out, discussing seating arrangements with surprising animation. I caught the words head table and special announcement. Let her plan her perfect party. Let her think she's finally found a way to push me out. In 4 weeks, I wouldn't just crash her carefully orchestrated celebration. I'd own it. Literally. I just hoped Landon would understand why I had to do it this way. Why 7 years of subtle humiliation and carefully crafted exclusion had led me to this moment. Because one way or another, this anniversary would mark the end of Yvonne Willis's reign over our lives. And the beginning of mine. The paperwork looks solid, Eugene said, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses as he spread documents across his mahogany desk. But Jennifer, are you absolutely certain about this? The family has trusted me as their attorney for 30 years. I leaned forward, my designer blazer, a recent splurge I'd finally allowed myself, crinkling slightly. That's exactly why I came to you, Eugene. You know every skeleton in their closet. He shuffled uncomfortably. The acquisition is legitimate. Your shell company's offer is more than fair, but the deception involved... Deception? I pulled out my phone, scrolling through saved screenshots. Like when Yvonne tried to have my prenup modified without my knowledge 3 years ago? The same prenup you refused to alter because it was, as you put it, ethically questionable? Eugene's face flushed. That was different. Was it? I slid the final contract across his desk. Sign as witness, Eugene, or I'll find someone who will. The door opened and Hope burst in, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was insane. She paused, reading the room. Did I miss the fun part? Perfect timing, I said. Eugene was just about to sign. Hope dropped into the chair beside me, pulling out her tablet. While you finish up here, you need to see these numbers. The tech division's value is even higher than we thought. Your little startup didn't just succeed, Jen. It's about to become a major player. I allowed myself a small smile. For 3 years, I'd been building my company in secret, starting with a small inheritance from my grandmother. While Yvonne thought I was taking cooking classes and attending charity luncheons, I was actually securing investors and developing revolutionary software. Eugene's pen scratched across the paper. There, It's done. He looked up at me, his expression grave. The family will know within days that someone's buying their shares. Once the acquisition is complete, there's no going back. Good. I gathered the papers, sliding them into my briefcase. Because I'm done going backward. Hope waited until we were in the elevator before squealing. I can't believe we pulled this off. From that tiny office above my garage to this. She grabbed my hands. You're about to own one of the largest tech companies on the East Coast. We're not celebrating yet, I warned, but I couldn't help grinning. First, we need to... The elevator doors opened and I froze. Landon stood in the lobby, deep in conversation with Max. Quick, Hope whispered. Act natural. Jennifer? Landon looked surprised. What are you doing here? Hope needed to drop off some documents for her divorce. I lied smoothly. I came for moral support. Max nodded sympathetically. Nasty business divorce. Speaking of business, Landon, we should finish our discussion about those board changes your mother's suggesting. My ears perked up. Board changes? Nothing concrete, Landon said quickly. Just some restructuring ideas. Mother thinks that it's time for fresh perspectives. Max finished. Though between us, I'm not sure about her timing. The company's doing better than ever. Hope clutched my arm. We should really get going. Lots of paperwork to handle. As we hurried out, I heard Max say, You know, your wife's got quite a head for business. That marketing proposal last month was brilliant. Maybe we should consider... The rest of his words were cut off by the closing doors. Outside, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. That was close, Hope said. But did you hear that? They're planning board changes right before the takeover? That can't be a coincidence. I flagged down a taxi. No, it can't. Yvonne's planning something big for that anniversary party, and now she's messing with the company structure? I pulled out my phone. Call Eugene. Tell him to expedite everything. I want the acquisition complete before that party. What about Landon? Are you ever going to tell him? I watched the city blur past the taxi window, remembering the way he'd looked away at dinner. The way he always looked away. He'll know soon enough. They all will. And if he doesn't understand? If he takes their side? The question hit me like a punch to the gut. Then I'll have lost my husband, I said quietly. But I'll have kept my dignity. And maybe, just maybe, I'll have earned his respect. Hope squeezed my hand. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Sometimes the only way to fix a broken system is to break it completely. My phone buzzed. A message from Yvonne about final party arrangements. Another buzz. Eugene confirming the paperwork was being processed. 2 weeks until the acquisition would be complete. 3 weeks until the party. After 7 years of smiling through subtle jabs and calculated exclusion, my patience was finally about to pay off. I just hoped the price wouldn't be too high. The Willis corporate headquarters buzzed with unusual energy as decorators transformed the top-floor event space for tomorrow's pre-party board meeting. I lingered near the service entrance, watching Yvonne direct workers with military precision. The flowers go there. No, not those ones. She snapped at a nervous-looking florist. The pink roses are for tomorrow. The white ones are for next week's main event. Everything okay? Max appeared beside me, making me jump. You look lost in thought. Just admiring Yvonne's attention to detail. He chuckled. That's one way to put it. Listen, Jennifer, got a minute? There's something I've been meaning to discuss. My heart raced as I followed him to his office. Had he discovered something? The acquisition was nearly complete, but one wrong move now could ruin everything. Close the door, he said, settling behind his desk. I'm worried about Yvonne. I blinked. Worried? She's been making strange moves lately, calling emergency board meetings, suggesting radical leadership changes. He rubbed his temples. This morning, she asked me to transfer significant company shares to a trust she's creating. Did she say why? Something about securing the family's future. But the timing feels off. We're more profitable than ever, thanks in part to those marketing strategies you suggested. I forced a neutral expression. Have you talked to Landon about this? Tried to, but you know how he gets when it comes to his mother. Max leaned forward. Actually, I wanted to run something by you. How would you feel about taking a more active role in the company? A knock interrupted before I could respond. Landon poked his head in. Mother's looking for you, Max. Something about the seating arrangements? God help me, Max muttered, standing. Think about what I said, Jennifer. We could use someone with your insight. As he left, Landon studied my face. What was that about? Nothing important, I said quickly. Just party details. You've been different lately, he said softly. Distant. Is everything okay? For a moment, I wanted to tell him everything. About the company I'd built, the acquisition, his mother's manipulation. But then Yvonne's voice carried down the hallway. Landon, there you are. Chelsea just arrived. Come say hello. His face lit up. Chelsea's here? I haven't seen her in ages. My stomach twisted. Go ahead. Don't keep them waiting. Once alone, I slipped into the empty boardroom next door. Through the thin wall, I could hear voices from the event space. The prodigal daughter returns. Yvonne's voice dripped with warmth she'd never shown me. Doesn't Chelsea look stunning, Landon? Harvard Law certainly agrees with her. You look great, Landon agreed. How long are you staying? Through next week's party, at least, Chelsea replied. Yvonne has big plans for the celebration. Yes, Yvonne said. Very big plans. Max, darling, there you are. We need to discuss those share transfers immediately. Their voices moved away, but I stayed frozen in place. Share transfers. Chelsea's extended stay. The way Yvonne emphasized big plans. My phone buzzed. A text from Hope. Eugene says acquisition paperwork is ready. We're ahead of schedule. You sure about this? Another voice drifted through the wall. Max, speaking in low tones. I don't like it, Eugene. These rushed changes, the secret meetings. Something's not right. Mrs. Willis is within her legal rights, Eugene responded, sounding tired. Though perhaps the timing is unfortunate. Unfortunate? The company's facing its biggest transition in years, and she's focused on some mystery announcement at a party? I'd heard enough. Stepping into the hallway, I nearly collided with Chelsea. Jennifer? She smiled warmly. I was hoping to run into you. Yvonne's told me so much. Has she? I matched her smile. Funny, she's told me almost nothing about you. Oh, you'll learn everything soon enough. She touched my arm. I hope we can be friends. After all, we're both so invested in this family's future. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. Hope. Emergency, call now. Excuse me, I said, already walking away. I need to take this. In the privacy of the elevator, I called Hope. They're moving up the board meeting, she said without preamble. To tomorrow morning, Eugene just told me. What? Why? Something about voting on major structural changes before the party. Jen, if they reorganize before the acquisition is complete, they can't. I pressed the lobby button harder than necessary. Call Eugene, tell him we're executing tonight. I don't care what it takes. Are you sure? Once we move, there's no going back. Through the closing elevator doors, I caught one last glimpse of Landon laughing at something Chelsea said, Yvonne watching them with satisfied eyes. I'm sure, I said. It's time to end this game. The emergency board meeting felt like a powder keg waiting to explode. I sat in my usual corner spot, watching board members file in while Yvonne held court at the head of the table, Chelsea conspicuously placed at her right hand. Before we begin, Yvonne announced, I'd like to introduce Chelsea properly. She'll be joining us as a legal consultant for our upcoming transitions. Max shifted uncomfortably. Transitions we haven't voted on yet. Mere formalities. Yvonne waved her hand dismissively. Now, regarding the share transfers? The boardroom door burst open. Eugene hurried in, clutching a stack of papers, his face flushed. I apologize for the interruption, but there's an urgent matter. It can wait. Yvonne cut him off. We have important... It cannot wait, Eugene insisted, his voice unusually firm. The company has received a binding acquisition offer. The room erupted in murmurs. Landon's head snapped up from his phone. What? Impossible. Yvonne spat. Who would dare? A tech consortium. Eugene continued, distributing documents. They've already secured majority shareholder support. The deal is, effectively, done. I watched the color drain from Yvonne's face as she scanned the papers. This is a complete takeover. Max finished, whistling low. And at these numbers, it's a damn good offer. But the timing, Chelsea interjected, mask of sweetness slipping. Surely we can delay. I'm afraid not, Eugene said. The paperwork was finalized last night. All that remains is the formal announcement. Landon hadn't moved, staring at the acquisition documents. Mother, what's going on? Nothing, Yvonne snapped. This is clearly a mistake. A hostile takeover attempt that will squash immediately. Chelsea, call your firm. Actually, I stood up, my heart pounding but my voice steady. It's not hostile at all. The majority shareholders voted quite willingly. Isn't that right, Eugene? The room fell silent. Every head turned toward me. Jennifer? Landon's voice cracked. What do you know about this? She knows nothing, Yvonne snarled. She's just the wife who built a tech empire right under your nose. I finished. While you were planning parties and arranging marriages, I was arranging something else entirely. Chelsea's perfectly manicured hand crumpled the papers. You're bluffing. I pulled out my phone, projecting my company's portfolio onto the boardroom screen. 3 years, 15 patents, over 200 employees, and as of last night, majority ownership of this company. No, Yvonne whispered. No. Yes. I turned to face her directly. Did you really think I'd just stand by while you tried to replace me? While you planned to announce my husband's new future at our anniversary party? Landon stood so quickly his chair toppled backward. What? Chelsea at least had the decency to look embarrassed. Landon, I can explain. Don't bother, I cut in. The papers tell the whole story. Your law firm's involvement, the trust fund Yvonne was creating in your name, the planned announcement at the party. Mother? Landon's voice was deadly quiet. Is this true? Yvonne's composure cracked. I was trying to protect you, to secure your future with someone worthy of this family. By ambushing me at my anniversary party? He turned to Chelsea. And you agreed to this? It wasn't like that, Chelsea protested. Yvonne said you were unhappy, that you wanted... What I want, Landon interrupted, has never mattered to any of you, has it? Max cleared his throat. Perhaps we should focus on the acquisition. Yes, I said. Let's. As new majority shareholder, I'm calling an emergency vote. First order of business, restructuring the board. You can't do this, Yvonne hissed. I already have. I distributed more documents. You'll find your severance packages more than generous. Chelsea, I assume you can find your own way out. Landon, Yvonne pleaded. Stop her. But Landon was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. All this time, you were building a company? Yes. And you didn't tell me because I needed to prove something. I met his gaze. To them, to you, to myself, the room held its breath. 7 years of marriage balanced on this moment. Finally, Landon smiled. Well, I guess that makes you my boss now. Actually, I couldn't help smiling back. I'm everyone's boss now. Yvonne slammed her hands on the table. This isn't over. Oh, but it is. I gathered my things. Board meeting adjourned. And Yvonne? Don't worry about the anniversary party. I'll handle the arrangements from here. As I walked out, head high, I heard Max mutter, Now that's what I call a hostile takeover. For the first time in 7 years, I felt truly, completely free. The silence in our penthouse was deafening. Landon hadn't spoken a word during the car ride home, and now he stood by the window, drink in hand, watching the city lights flicker below. Say something. I finally broke the silence. Please, he turned, his expression unreadable. 3 years. You spent 3 years building an empire in secret. I couldn't tell you. I started, but he cut me off. No, let me finish. He set down his glass. 3 years of watching my mother belittle you, of me saying nothing. Of course you couldn't tell me. I hadn't expected that. You're not angry? Angry? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. I'm furious. At my mother, at myself, at this whole mess. He ran a hand through his hair. But at you? How can I be angry when you did exactly what I should have done years ago? The doorbell rang, interrupting the moment. Hope burst in before I could answer it. Your phones are blowing up. She waved her tablet. The business news is going crazy. Unknown tech entrepreneur acquires industry giant. Mystery woman takes down family empire. You're trending. Hope, Landon said quietly. Could we have a moment? Oh, right. Sorry. She backed toward the door. But Jen, call me later. Yvonne's already making moves. After she left, Landon poured another drink. Making moves? Care to explain? She's called 3 different law firms, I admitted, trying to challenge the acquisition, but it won't work. Everything's legal. That's not what I meant. He faced me. What moves is she making against us? Against you? My phone buzzed, a text from Eugene. Yvonne attempting to freeze family assets, trying to block access to anniversary party venue. She's trying to shut me out. I showed him the message, like she always has. Landon's jaw tightened. The party's still happening? It has to. Everyone who's anyone in the business world will be there. The perfect place to announce the new company direction. And humiliate my mother. I met his gaze. Would that be so wrong, after what she planned to do to us? He was quiet for a long moment. You know what hurts the most? Not the secret company, not the takeover. It's that I never saw it. Any of it. My mother's manipulation, your potential. I was blind to all of it. You saw what you wanted to see, I said softly. We all did. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Max. Sorry to interrupt. He looked between us awkwardly. But Jennifer, we need to talk strategy. The board members are split. Some are calling for emergency meetings. Others are threatening to resign. Let them, I said. We'll rebuild with people who share our vision. Our vision? Max raised an eyebrow. Unless you're planning to resign too? He grinned. Are you kidding? This is the most excitement we've had in years. I'm in. Good. I pulled out my laptop. Because I need your help planning the party. Jennifer? Landon interrupted. Before we do this, are you sure? Once we announce everything publicly, there's no going back. No reconciliation with my mother. Landon, I touched his arm. Your mother was going to announce your future marriage to another woman at our anniversary party. I think we're past reconciliation. Max choked on his drink. She was going to what? Ask Chelsea, I said dryly, though she might be busy updating her resume. My phone buzzed again. Hope sending security camera footage from the office. Yvonne was clearing out her office, Chelsea helping her pack files. They're not going quietly, Max observed. Good. I closed my laptop. Because neither am I. Landon wrapped an arm around my waist, surprising me. Then let's do this right. Make it a party they'll never forget. You're with me? I searched his face. I should have been with you from the start. He kissed my forehead. Better late than never. Max cleared his throat. As touching as this is, we have a crisis to manage. The press is demanding statements, shareholders are panicking. Let them panic, I said. By this time next week, they'll understand exactly why this change had to happen. My phone lit up with another message. Yvonne. You have no idea what you've started. I showed it to Landon, who took the phone and typed a reply. Actually, Mother, for once we know exactly what we're doing. As Max began outlining damage control strategies, I watched my husband. Really watched him. For the first time in our marriage, he stood tall, unburdened by his mother's expectations. Sometimes you have to tear everything down to build something better. I just hoped we were building something stronger than what we'd destroyed. But first, we had a party to plan. What do you mean my access has been denied? I stared at the security guard blocking the entrance to the plaza's grand ballroom. The anniversary party was due to start in less than an hour, and guests were already arriving. I'm sorry, ma'am. He checked his tablet again. But Mrs. Yvonne specifically updated the list this morning. You're not on it. Hope grabbed my arm. She can't do this. You own the company. The venue contract is still in her name, I realized, watching through the glass doors as Yvonne directed caterers inside. She caught my eye and smiled, giving a small wave. My phone buzzed. Landon. Stuck in traffic. Mother's doing? Your mother's locked me out of our own anniversary party, I texted back. Of all the petty, vindictive... Hope stopped mid-rant as Chelsea walked past us into the ballroom, not even trying to hide her smirk. That's it. I pulled out my phone. Max, we need that backup plan. Now. 10 minutes later, Max arrived with Eugene in tow, both looking harried. The venue won't budge, Max reported. Yvonne's threatened to sue them if they let you in without her approval. Which she technically can do, Eugene added. The contract... I don't care about the contract. I cut him off. This is my anniversary party, my company announcement. I'm not letting her win. A commotion at the entrance drew our attention. Landon had arrived and he looked furious. Where is she? He stormed past the security guard who didn't dare stop him. Mother. I followed in his wake before anyone could object, Hope and Max close behind. The ballroom was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, exactly as Yvonne had planned. Except now she stood center stage, champagne in hand, Chelsea at her side. Landon, darling, Yvonne called out. Just in time. We were about to begin. Begin what? He demanded. Humiliating my wife? Destroying our marriage? Guests turned to watch, phones already recording. This was exactly what Yvonne wanted. A scene, a scandal, something to discredit me. I'm simply protecting our family's interests, Yvonne said smoothly. After that hostile takeover... Hostile? I laughed, drawing everyone's attention. Like plotting to announce my husband's new engagement at our anniversary party? Gasps rippled through the crowd. Chelsea took a step back, but Yvonne held her ground. Security, she called out. This woman is trespassing. 2 guards approached, but Max stepped forward. Actually, as acting CEO, I can confirm Mrs. Jennifer is exactly where she should be. Acting CEO? Yvonne's voice rose. You're taking her side? I'm taking the side of progress, Max answered. Something you might try sometime. The guards hesitated, looking between us. Oh, for heaven's sake, Yvonne snapped. Fine, stay. Make a fool of yourself. But this is still my party, and I have an announcement to make. She turned to address the crowd, but Landon grabbed the microphone first. Yes, Mother. Let's make announcements. Let's tell everyone how you tried to manipulate my marriage. How you plan to ambush us tonight. How you've spent 7 years trying to drive away the best thing that ever happened to this family. The best thing? Yvonne scoffed. She stole our company. No. I stepped forward. I built something better than your company. Something that will actually make a difference in the world. And I did it while you were too busy planning my replacement to notice. Hope appeared with a laptop, connecting it to the ballroom's projection system. My company's portfolio appeared on the massive screens. The innovations, the patents, the future plans. Ladies and gentlemen, I addressed the stunned crowd. Welcome to the future of Willis Technologies, a future built on merit, not manipulation, on innovation, not inheritance. Phones flashed as reporters in the crowd started taking notes. This wasn't the scandal Yvonne had planned. It was better. You can't do this, Yvonne whispered, but her voice shook. I already have. I took Landon's hand. Happy anniversary to us. And Mother, you might want to check your email. Your resignation letter is waiting. Chelsea slipped away through the crowd as Yvonne stood frozen, her perfect party crumbling around her. Well, Max raised his glass. I believe this calls for a toast. To the new CEO of Willis Technologies and to Karma. The crowd raised their glasses, the mood shifting from scandal to celebration. Landon pulled me close, whispering, I love you, and I'm so damn proud of you. Yvonne's face had gone from red to white. She grabbed her purse and headed for the exit, pausing only to hiss, This isn't over. Actually, Mother, Landon called after her. For once it is. As the party resumed around us, now with a very different energy, Hope squeezed my hand. Worth getting locked out for? I watched Yvonne's retreating back, 7 years of powerlessness finally lifting from my shoulders. Worth every second. The morning after the party, I sat at what used to be Yvonne's desk, watching the sun rise over the city. The headlines were everywhere. Tech's newest power player. Family drama leads to corporate coup. Daughter-in-law's sweet revenge. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Max entered, carrying 2 coffee cups. The vultures are circling, he announced, handing me a cup. Every news outlet in the country wants an interview. The shareholders are demanding meetings, and 3 competing companies have already reached out about potential mergers. Let them wait, I said, pulling up the company's internal messaging system. We have more important things to handle first. The mass email? Are you sure about this? Every employee deserves to know where they stand. I hit send, and thousands of notifications went out across the company. Within minutes, my phone started ringing. Hope burst in, tablet in hand. It's working. The employee forums are exploding. People are crying at their desks. Happy tears. I smiled, remembering what I'd written. Full benefits for all employees, regardless of position. Parental leave doubled. Pay equity reviews. On-site childcare. Everything Yvonne had dismissed as unnecessary coddling. Mrs. Jennifer? My assistant poked her head in. The board members are arriving for the emergency meeting. Show them in. The boardroom filled quickly. Some faces were nervous, others excited. A few chairs sat conspicuously empty, Yvonne's supporters who'd resigned in protest. Thank you all for coming. I stood at the head of the table. I know change is scary. Scary? One of the older board members interrupted. You've upended decades of tradition. Traditions that weren't working. Landon spoke up from his seat. Or have you forgotten last quarter's innovation rankings? The numbers don't lie, Max added, distributing reports. We've been stagnating while smaller companies, like Jennifer's, have been revolutionizing the industry. Speaking of numbers, I pressed a button, and new projections filled the screens. These are our growth forecasts under the new structure. Notice anything? The room fell silent as they studied the data. Even the skeptics looked impressed. This is ambitious, someone finally said. It's necessary, I corrected. We're not just changing leadership. We're changing culture, starting with this. I revealed the next slide, a complete reorganization chart. Women and minorities in key positions. Young innovators promoted. Old guard redistributed or retired. You can't just... Another protest began. Actually, I can, but I won't. I smiled. Because every person in this room has 48 hours to prove why they deserve to be part of our future. Show me your value, not your voting shares. The door burst open. Eugene rushed in, looking flustered. Jennifer, we have a situation. Yvonne's filed an injunction. Already handled. Hope interrupted, waving her tablet. The judge threw it out 10 minutes ago. Apparently, he's not a fan of frivolous lawsuits from disgraced executives. My phone buzzed. A text from Chelsea. Can we talk? Privately? Send her up, I told my assistant. To the board, I added, meeting adjourned. You have 48 hours. Make them count. As the room cleared, Chelsea entered. Gone was the polished corporate lawyer. She looked tired, human. I'm sorry, she said immediately. I never meant... Yvonne said Landon was unhappy, that the company needed saving. I didn't know... Save it. I cut her off. You're a brilliant lawyer, Chelsea. Too brilliant to be someone else's pawn. She blinked. What? I'm offering you a choice. Leave with Yvonne, chase her vendetta, or stay, head our new legal department, and actually make a difference. You'd trust me? After everything? Trust is earned, like respect. I handed her a contract. Your choice. She stared at the paper for a long moment. Then, straightening her shoulders, she pulled out a pen. Smart choice, Landon said from the doorway. He'd been watching silently. Landon, Chelsea started. No apologies needed. Just do better. After she left, Landon pulled me into his arms. You know Mother will keep fighting. Let her try. We've got something she never had. What's that? People who actually believe in what we're doing. My phone buzzed again, Yvonne's number. I declined the call. The press is waiting downstairs, Hope reminded me. Ready to face the cameras? I looked around what was now my office, my company, my future. Actually, I said, I have a better idea. Max, call a company-wide meeting. All employees, all levels. It's time they heard from their new CEO directly. And Yvonne? Hope asked. She can watch it on the news like everyone else. For the first time in 7 years, I didn't care what Yvonne thought. I had a company to run, a culture to change, and a future to build. And this was just the beginning. The autumn breeze carried the scent of coffee from the new employee cafe as I crossed the renovated courtyard of our corporate headquarters. Workers lounged on modern benches, laptops open, collaborating freely, exactly as I'd envisioned. Mrs. Jennifer. A young programmer waved. The new maternal leave policy changed my life. I can actually see my baby grow up. I smiled, remembering Yvonne's words. Sentiment has no place in business. Inside, Hope met me at the elevator. Ready for this? Is anyone ever ready to face their mother-in-law in court? The elevator opened to reveal Max and Chelsea, both clutching legal briefs. She's already there, Chelsea reported, with 3 lawyers and a PR team. Of course she is. I straightened my jacket. Let's end this. The courthouse buzzed with reporters. As we entered, I spotted Landon already seated in the front row. He stood when he saw me, straightening his tie. The one I'd given him on our first anniversary. Mother's asking for one last meeting, he said quietly, before the judge arrives. I nodded. Where? Conference room B. She's waiting. Inside, Yvonne sat alone, looking smaller somehow without her usual entourage. She'd aged in the past few months, the stress showing in new lines around her eyes. Come to gloat? She asked. No. I sat across from her. Come to end this. End this? She laughed bitterly. You stole my company, my son, my legacy. I built something better than your legacy, I interrupted. Have you seen the quarterly reports? Our innovation rate has tripled. Employee satisfaction is at record highs, even the stock price. Numbers, she spat. That's all you care about? Actually, I pulled out my phone, showing her our company's social media feed. I care about people, like Sarah in accounting, who can finally afford her son's medical treatment, or Miguel in tech, whose green energy initiative is revolutionizing our carbon footprint, or... Enough. She slammed her hand on the table. What do you want? For you to see what I've always seen, that this company could be more than just a family empire. It could make a real difference. And my son? Was he just part of your master plan? Mother. Landon spoke from the doorway. I hadn't heard him enter. You know better than that. Do I? Her voice cracked. I don't know anything anymore. I reached into my briefcase, pulling out a document. Yes, you do. You know this lawsuit is pointless. You know we're doing good work. And you know I'm offering you a choice. She stared at the paper. What is this? A consulting position, advisory only, no executive power. But your experience, your connections, they could still benefit the company if you're willing to work with us instead of against us. Why would you offer me anything? Because unlike you, I don't believe in destroying people to get ahead. I stood. Your choice, Yvonne. Keep fighting and lose everything, or help us build something better than either of us imagined. The silence stretched. Finally, she picked up the document, reading carefully. The child care center, she said suddenly. The one you're building on the East Campus. It needs better security protocols. I know. I smiled slightly. That's exactly the kind of insight we could use. She looked at Landon, then back at me. Slowly, she reached for a pen. If I sign this, she said, I want one thing in return. Name it. Sunday dinners with my son and my daughter-in-law. Landon squeezed my hand. I nodded. Deal. Outside, reporters clamored as we emerged together. Chelsea quickly addressed them. All parties have reached an amicable agreement. No further comments. Back at the office, Hope was waiting with champagne. To new beginnings? To family, Landon corrected, wrapping an arm around me. The ones we're born with, and the ones we build. My phone buzzed. A message from Max. East Campus childcare plans on your desk. Yvonne's already made notes. Think this will work? Hope asked quietly. I watched through my office window as Yvonne spoke with our design team, gesturing animatedly about security cameras. 7 years of warfare, ending not with destruction, but with possibility. It has to, I said, because some things are more important than winning. Like family? Landon asked. Like proving that success doesn't have to come at someone else's expense. I turned to face my husband. Like showing that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building something so amazing that your enemies want to be part of it. Speaking of building, Hope grinned. Wait until you see the new Innovation Lab designs. Your mother-in-law actually had some brilliant suggestions. I laughed. Of course she did. She's family after all. And for the first time, those words felt completely true.